Do you do a countdown on this? Nope.
Yeah, I
Oh,
do. Of course I do.
And it's going to go out on the Rush4 page so I can share it from there, right?
Or Geekmore, but sure.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Bazinga.
2 in the box. Ready to go. We be fast. They be slow.
Cool.
All right. Welcome for the first time in a long time to the MtGeekmore podcast, your favorite podcast where you come to listen and watch people talk, debate, and argue over their top 4 Mount Rushmore, if you will, of their favorite pop culture subjects. Today's pop culture subject, as you can tell by looking at either your listening device or on the screen, if you're watching us live, or the replay on YouTube, is the MtGeekmore of Bad friends on TV or movies. So thank you very much. I am Nary Signs. With me, as usual, is David DeBona.
Not quite.
Not David.
Not David DeBona. Daniel DeBona. That was so
Heyo.
good. 2 D's, you know.
What up, y'all?
I'm trying to multitask and send out the "Hey, we're live, watch us" Facebook thing. And also joining us is Missy,
hello.
the writer. And today we have Events by You coordinator, head honcho, extraordinaire, Stephanie Ulloa.
Oh, hello.
So thank you very much, Stephanie, for joining us.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
So we're gonna be talking about the obviously the Geekmore of Bad TV friends, either TV or movie friends. So first of all, Missy is the one that came up with this topic. So I was like, okay.
Wait, it's only TV?
Or movies. There's
TV
a
or movies.
Okay. I was going to say, if
I have
it's only TV, I have to make some changes.
No. I will say, I'll talk about that later, but I will say, in Googling this topic, I found a lot more TV answers than movie answers, which I found weird. But with that said, let's go around the horn. And DeBona, how did you come up with your selection?
So I thought about a lot of things, and to eliminate a couple, one thing that I did was I tried to eliminate anything where if I thought of a group of friends, I was like, yeah, but they're all bad, but which one's the worst? I tried to eliminate those groups where they're all just sort of shitty people. Yeah. So that there were 2 in particular TV shows that I thought for sure were going to make it until I made that rule.
Oh, I think I know one of them for you.
And so after that, I just kind of went with my short list and who I thought appeared almost like a good friend, but then you realize that everything they did was for selfish reasons, and then some of them are just shitty people.
All right. Missy, how did you come up with your list?
Per the usual, I went with my feelings. I tried to have 2 and 2. Like 2 from movies, 2 from TV, and then I made myself a rule where there's like, if I think I was telling you earlier, like there's certain TV shows that I really, really like, but the whole mountain could be the whole cast. So I limited myself to, if it was from a TV show, it had to be like one character from that show, and then that's it. Otherwise, I could have talked about How I Met Your Mother all night. So yeah.
I don't agree with that statement. But
well, I know we're gonna fight.
There's one good character in How I Met Your Mother, and that's it.
Marshall.
Yeah, basically.
Lawyer.
All right. I mean, I don't see it, but okay, fine.
Well, that's shocking.
Oh, I mean, wow. Who could have seen that coming?
This just in.
But then again, I don't think Ross is a bad friend either, and apparently the internet and me.
The internet highly disagrees with you, my friend.
Stephanie, how did you go with your list?
So I tried to take character development into consideration. If there's one on my list that the show hasn't ended yet, so she's lower. but she was still pretty shitty. And then the rest of them, I kind of just took into account how their character develops over the course of that movie or that show, because a lot of characters can start off really shitty and then will develop into being pretty good people. So if you had little to no character development throughout your arc, you're probably on my list.
Okay. So, do you have to have? My question is, in your list, did you have to? Does a show have to have finished?
Not necessarily, because I have somebody. No, I actually both my TV show lists are ongoing shows. Like both my choices for TV are still airing. So.
Oh, okay. Because I made the comment, and prior to recording, I was having a conversation with Missy over the phone, and I mentioned somebody that I haven't finished watching the show, but I was like, no, I'm gonna put this person on my list, and they were like, you haven't finished watching the show, and I was like, yeah, but what I've seen so far, I think he's a bad friend.
Oh yeah, but you're wrong.
The conversation,
like so wrong.
Well, okay, we'll get to. I mean, it's gonna take a while to get to that pick, but yeah.
Wow, he's so wrong, and it's high on his list.
The highest you can go. All right, so I went kind of the same route. I did 2 and 2. I did 2 movies and 2 TV characters. The movie characters, like I said before, took way. It was way harder to find the movie characters, to be honest with you. And then when I found them, I'm like, yeah, this is top-notch assholery right here. So then I went with that. I don't know. So, and that's it. That's where I went with my picks, man. Let's go down to our number 4s.
With the 4th pick.
Number 4.
I'm in no mood for your wisecrack. Let's get it on.
All right, number 4. So let's go off the Bono. What do you got for your number 4?
My number 4 is a character that when I originally watched the show, I would not have put on this list. But I recently rewatched this show, and the entire time I was going back through it, I just couldn't get over the fact that this guy was rubbing me the wrong way just constantly throughout the show. My number 4 is Xander Harris from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
He came up a lot.
He does come up a lot on an internet search.
About 2 years ago over the summer, I rewatched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Xander from the very beginning of the show is very aware of how into him Willow is, and he constantly uses that as a way to just use her to get what he wants, including constantly bringing up the fact that he has a crush on Buffy. He even at one point uses her to practice a speech that he's going to give to Buffy about how in love, while being very aware of the fact that she loves him. But okay, fine. You can claim that, he's just, whatever. But then when she gets together with Oz, he becomes a complete and total dickbag about it.
Yeah.
That's where it crosses the line.
Yeah.
If you're just going to claim that Willow is just your friend and that's why this is okay, then you're not allowed to be an asshole when she finally moves on.
Yeah.
And that's what drove me insane about Xander. He was so selfish in the way that he treated Willow. To Buffy and them, sure. The rest of the Scooby Gang, yeah, he was fine. Whatever. He was a guy. But the way that he treated Willow specifically, especially being very aware of how she felt about him, was just terrible. Awful. And I love the show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I really, really do. But it was just cringy and awful just knowing just watching the way that he treated her throughout the show, and never, like I said, it's not like he could ever claim ignorance as to how Willow felt about him. It was always out there. It was always something that everybody knew. He just chose to only talk about it or use it when it was to his advantage. So everything that he did that seemed friendly when it came to Willow was strictly for selfish purposes. And it just drove me insane. So while he's definitely not the worst on my list, that's why I've got him at number 1. He was one that I recently just realized, or number 4, excuse me, that I recently just realized I don't like him. I don't like him at all. So
I agree with everything that you just said. The only caveat to that is I'll say he does all of that shit in the first 2-3 seasons. And the show went on. The show had a longer run. Now, did he do shittier things in terms of I don't know that he was a shitty friend, but he was definitely like a shitty fiance to
Yes.
Anya.
Yes.
But I don't think that the only reason why I didn't lean into that one is just because I would like what Stephanie said. His arc takes a different
It
turn.
does, and that's why I definitely kept him
But
low.
you're
on
totally
the list.
right. He was a
But
total dick to Willow.
I had to talk about him because I feel like it's one that if you haven't watched Buffy since it was out and you're our age, so you were like, in high school and beginning of college when it was running, you might not realize how shitty he was because it was so long ago.
Yeah.
So if you disagree with my pick and it's been a long time since you watched Buffy, I highly recommend going back and watching it and seeing if you'd agree.
If you want to watch an asshole, go back and watch it. I promise you. Go back and watch it. Missy, you're having an echo right now. Can you go like the same thing you did last time?
What?
There's like an echo when you talk.
Now? Am I better now?
Yeah, you are. I don't know what you did, but yeah.
I moved that button over there, right there. That.
I haven't seen Buffy in a very, very long time. I haven't. I was more of a fan of the Angel show.
Well, duh.
Well, it's because it was better.
It was better. It was way better.
But
I don't know. Not really. But okay.
The contrarian now.
It did have
Buffy's
100%
great.
less Eliza Deshku, so
Buffy is great. Buffy's like one of my favorite shows from like that time period. But Angel's better. Like objectively, Angel's better.
Yeah. But I haven't even what I was saying. Like I was more of a fan of the show Angel, but even that I haven't seen in a long time. Like even that, it's been probably.
Where do
It
they
holds up
stream these days?
on Hulu. Not that I watch regularly or whatever.
But
not that I put on my favorite plaid shirt and just watch all the WB stuff that's on Hulu like regularly.
I mean, you don't have them on DVD? My bad.
Shut up. I do, but they're locked away.
And you gotta swap them. It's a whole
right.
thing.
Missy.
Yeah.
What's your number 4?
My number 4 is also it comes from a WB show from the late 90s. I can't say that he has a good arc. He has no fucking redeeming quality throughout the entire series. And my number 4 is Dawson Leary from
Yes. I knew that was one of the two I figured you'd have.
I fucking loathe this guy. Like James Vanderbeek is a great follow on the socials, as is his wife. They have this whole hippie commune. They just moved to Texas and they have like 6 kids. It's like they're like on a personal level, I hold no gripes. But Dawson Leary is such a whiny little bitch the entire time that this show takes place. He has no redeeming qualities. He's never a good friend to seldom a good friend to anyone. He calls dibs on Joey and then just puts her on a shelf, then gets pissy because Pacey goes for it, and it just so happens that they were meant to be the whole time. And that wasn't just his high school. It was like college. It rolled over. In college, I think it was worse because he was always pretentious. But he turned into he went from pretentious to pretentious douche in college because of his film, film career, whatever. I don't know. I can't think of an instance where he does anything that's redeemable for anyone on the show that's not completely self-centered. And I
now, would you say it's douche or douche?
More on that later. More on that. No, I would call him a douche. He does not deserve the douche. He's a douche, a straight douche. And that whole I know that the Pacey Dawson Joey thing was meant like it was inevitable, but I remember watching that show from the beginning. It was very clear to me that Pacey and Joey were a much better match than Dawson was. He was like too manipulative and a gaslighter and just like no. Ugh.
Plus, Pacey was too busy banging teachers, so it took him a second.
Well, I mean, practice makes perfect, right?
No lies detected.
That storyline is so problematic. Like, if you go back and watch it, you're
the
like,
only one that's problematic.
What else is problematic?
I mean, just Jen in general.
Jen,
I was a
Jen?
big Jen hater. I haven't look. In all fairness, like I haven't seen Dawson's Creek since it ended, and I have not gone back and rewatch it. I know it's on my list of things to
Yeah,
go
good
back
luck
and
with that.
rewatch.
Good luck with that.
But I have 12-year-old, 13-year-old me feelings, and like adult me needs to go back and reevaluate.
Yeah,
so.
because you're hardcore, Dawson.
I mean, I
made the
was
case with me.
then. I was then.
You will probably won't be now.
I don't think
maybe
I
you
will.
shouldn't watch it.
I don't think I will because I did a rewatch of the OC recently, and I found myself siding with people that I never thought I would. So
yeah,
I'm interested. I do want to go back and rewatch it though.
it's a good. It still holds up. A lot of that show. Like I know we're getting off topic, but that show did a lot of storylines that wasn't really part of the. I want to say, and I know I'm being subjective. I can't be objective on this, but other than My So-Called Life, I didn't really see a lot of, up to that point, a lot of the storylines that they tackled in terms of like school violence and the LGBTQ plus community, like all of that. So mental health. Yeah. Like there's like sex ed,
banging your teacher. That was like season 1 shit.
That was meant to get your attention, but
well,
whatever.
it worked.
Sign, seal, delivered. I'm yours.
Yeah, it's really that show was so great. But yeah, fuck Dawson, and I'm finding a lot with my wisdom that a lot of the main characters that are set out to be like heroes, it turns out I hate them. So more on that later.
I can't wait for you in 10 years
updates to follow.
Who's a villain and who's not. All right. So Stephanie, what is your number 4?
So my number 4 is Nancy Wheeler from Stranger Things.
Oh,
I don't watch that show.
So I don't. Do you want to watch it?
Mm-mm.
Can I speak freely? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I haven't finished watching season 3, but that's fine.
I mean, I'm really only going to talk about a lot of the things that happen in season 1. But because she does, again, so this is a show that hasn't ended yet. So she could redeem herself potentially. But first, she's really selfish. She's super boy crazy. And basically, it's her fault that her best friend gets dragged into the Upside Down.
Oh, wait, what's the Upside Down?
So the Upside Down, it's like a whole thing.
Okay, I can Google it.
Dimension.
Don't. I can Google. Is this lady? Is this what Wynona's character or somebody else?
No. This is like a high school girl.
No, Wynona's a mom.
She's literally talking about a high school girl character, and it's so funny. You're like, she's boy crazy and she's selfish, and I'm like, teenage girl.
And she's like, you talking about Winona?
Her best friend died because of her, essentially. So, that's what happened.
No, I mean,
also you can stand up for yourself and say, no, I don't want to fucking go to that party. You could say that. I mean,
I'm sorry. You said no to drugs all the time, dear Captain.
I do actually.
Okay, now I'm not talking about now. I'm trying to make a point, and you know what I mean.
This fucking guy.
Barb was not that kind of character, and definitely justice for Barb. Nancy has done some better things as it goes on, but she's got a lot of growing and a lot of work to do, in my opinion. But yeah, I think the blood on your hands of your best friend is pretty severe.
Wow.
And to go with that, Nancy was very aware of the fact that Barb was not the type of person who would just say, no, I'm not going to do that.
She definitely manipulated her and took advantage of her kindness.
She very much took advantage of the person that Barb was that put her in that situation. Mm-hmm. That was not about Barb just not saying no. That was who Barb was. It was Nancy who manipulated the situation that made it seem like Barb was a bad person for being the way she was.
Yeah, she totally gaslit the shit out of her.
Hell yeah.
I feel weird about putting a teenager on this list. Like that's
then buckle up.
Teenagers.
That's like the worst. It's like the worst of humanity. It's like the worst you're ever gonna be as a human being is in your teenage years.
No,
but these aren't real people.
Because if you're worse than you are in your teenage years, your teenager, you have all these hormones going on.
Listen, there's a concept called arrested development where people do not move forward from who they develop into when they're in adolescence, and a lot of people are the same exact people they were when they were teenagers.
Which is again those are assholes. Those are right.
Well,
those,
aren't we talking
right.
about assholes?
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying like I feel weird putting because
Oh.
teenagers is where we're at our worst. Like our hormones are going crazy. We're usually selfish. We're usually self-involved. Everything revolves around us. Again, usually I'm painting with a broad brush here, but I feel as if putting a teenager on this. Granted, I have a teenager on my list too, but that's besides the point. It's you'll see when I
I'm
tell
pretty
you.
sure
It's called
all of-
ramping.
All of my picks are under 18. So sorry.
Whoa.
3 of my 4 are.
I don't have I don't
you're
have
just
one
picking on
grown-ass
kids.
adult on here.
Okay, but when you take my 2 of my teenage picks, and we'll get to them, are in movies that never got sequels. So that character only exists as being that age. So
No,
there's
I
no saying
understand.
they may
I'm
have
just-
been redeemed. That's their whole existence.
No, I get it. I understand. I'm not debating with like, I'm just saying like they're children. Like
He
you're
feels
really
icky
like
about it.
Teenagers suck, and they're all over my list.
Okay.
Well, that was Dawson was the only minor on my list, and truthfully, he's a minor for like 3 seasons, and then he's not. So
Yeah, one of my characters turns 18 within the course of her arc, but whatever. She like the story ends and she's 18, so whatever.
I don't put Barbara's death on Nancy's hands. I don't do
I
it.
mean,
I'm not saying she's completely.
You
I'm not
don't
saying-
have to. Like, no
I'm
one.
not saying
This is
she-
America, sir. You don't have to.
I'm not saying she's completely innocent. I'm just saying like I never thought like when I watched a show I was like it's your fault now. I was never that guy. I did do the hashtag justice for Barb because season 2 they were like Barb who like it felt
Yeah, they
like
completely forgot about her.
yeah it felt like the sister in
Family Matters.
Family Matters. They just sent
Yeah.
her to a room and we
She
never
never
heard about
came
her
back to
again. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? But all right, that's
Then
cool.
she did porn.
She did do porn.
who did porn? Barb?
The sister from Family Matters.
Oh yeah.
No, Barb never did porn.
Did Barb do
I
porn?
don't know. I don't
with that
watch
attitude. Now with
I
that
don't think
attitude,
she's done
Stephanie,
porn.
take it easy.
Let me. Does she have an OnlyFans?
I was about to say, let's go to OnlyFans and find out.
I follow her on Instagram. Hang on.
I thought you were gonna say OnlyFans. I was like,
No.
damn.
No, on Instagram. I follow her.
So it's Nancy Wheeler and
Nancy Wheeler from Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. I still haven't seen the end of season 3, so
Oh, so I know that you and I agreed about season 1 of Stranger Things, and for the most part, like that nothing really happens. And season 3 really does.
You're
It's
not
really
wrong.
good.
season 2 is phenomenal. I think season 2 is better than season 1.
Season 2, I think, was a little bit better, but season 1, you and I agree. But I think the problem is, Neri, that we saw it at the same time, where it was like in the throes of the hype,
Yeah,
and we were just like,
definitely. I was like, it's good. It's all right. It's fine.
yeah, that's how I felt.
Season-
Like
I
it's
thought
good.
season
And
2 was phenomenal.
I'm
And
into
season
the
2 was
nostalgia of it, but you know,
season 3 was really good too, from what I saw. But it was only like I only saw like half the season. I didn't. I gotta go back. I'll rewatch the whole season.
season 3 is really, really good, though.
It is.
That one really does kick it up a notch.
Season 3 carried.
Mm-hmm.
Bam! All right. So my number 4. I'm gonna start off with. I'm gonna go TV movie. So my number 4 is Julianne Potter from My Best
My
Friend.
best friend's wedding.
Table.
Great fucking joke.
Fuck that bitch. Table.
She's the worst.
I've never seen it, so I'll bow out.
Oh man, it's
All right. That's the reason we have him. So number 4s were Xander from Buffy, Dawson Leary from Dawson's Creek, Nancy Wheeler from Stranger Things, and Julianne Potter for My Best Friend's Wedding. All right.
Round 3.
3 is a magic number. Yes, it is.
All right. Before we get to our number 3s, we want to make a short announcement and let you guys know that we now have a Cash App. If you guys feel as if we are providing you good entertainment and you want to donate, please feel free to send us money at $MtGeekmore. That's GEEKMORE.
And snacks.
Send us money because all this shit costs money. And you know what? I've been out of work for over a year now because, you know, the Rona. And I got a new baby. No guilt trip. Just
I thought it was for the podcast.
it is for the podcast. I need money for all this podcast shit that I'm spending that I don't have. Therefore,
okay.
yeah, it all. What do you think? The band goes, oh, you're broke for podcast shit, but you have money for the baby. It's all fucking one pot, man.
And it doesn't come to me or Jeff or Dave, so you don't have to worry about us buying booze with it.
Not Neri though. He doesn't drink.
Exactly.
But all
Words are
right,
drugs.
disclaimer: there may be a pizza or two, but but so MtGeekmore. If you're out on Cash App, send us some money if you like. If not, it's understandable. It's fine. It's up to you. That's between you and your God. I don't judge you. Let's go on to our number 3.
When did you turn into a Jewish mom? Jesus.
I judge the fuck out of you.
We don't.
I do. Okay.
The thoughts and expressions of Neri's hands are his own.
That's it. The Bona, what do you got for your number 3, buddy?
My number 3 is another teenager. It is somebody who doesn't realize how shitty he is until the very end. He does kind of have an awakening, but in my opinion, it's just not enough to make up for how shitty he is for the entirety of the movie. My number 3 is Seth from Superbad. The kind of the introduction I had to who Jonah Hill was as an actor, and I do love the movie Superbad. I think it's hilarious top to bottom. I think it is an absolutely hilarious movie. But one of the things that's so funny is just how awful of a friend Seth is. He doesn't care anything about Michael Cera's character going to a good college. He doesn't care anything about McLovin and whether or not he is going to get into any trouble for using his fake. He just barely cares about Jules in the fact that he wants to have sex with her. And that's it. All he is, and I get it. He's a hormone-driven teenager.
Is he a teenage boy?
Yes. Okay, fine.
That's weird.
But you know what? Seth only exists within the confines of the beginning and end.
But he's still just a teenage boy. You're
Doesn't
judging
matter.
a teenage boy for being a
Doesn't
teenage
make
boy.
him not a shitty friend, man.
You could still, there are tons of teenage boys that aren't assholes.
Yeah.
Even as a high school
Don't
senior,
do that
know
boys will
any.
be boys shit. That's
I don't
not-
know any, but I know.
Boys. I said the same thing about your character. She's a teenage girl, and you're judging her for being a
And
teenage
it still
girl.
means that they could be a shitty person.
I'm-
They're
again,
good
That's
kids.
fine. That's fine. But don't come at me with the whole boys will be boys. I never said that, and that wasn't the intention of what I said. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to say it's not about gender, because I said the same shit about women than I did about guys.
but
Go on.
and here's the thing though. It's not just about him being a hormone-driven teenager who wants to get laid at a party, because he also is completely just doesn't give a shit about the fact that Michael Cera's character has gotten into the college of his dreams and is going to go on to do bigger and better things, because all he cares about is the fact that he was supposed to be roommates with Michael Cera in college. All he cares about is how everything going on around him affects him. Yes, that's part of being a teenager, but the lengths to which he carries on in this movie are what make him an awful friend. Is he an awful human being? Is he an awful human being? Possibly not, because he is just a teenager.
He also cared about drawing dicks.
Yes, exactly.
So he cared a lot
That is
about
true.
drawing dicks.
Am I the only one that wasn't crazy about this movie?
I wasn't crazy about it. It was fine.
I mean, I
It was
saw it
fine.
and I thought it was funny at the time, but I've never gone back and seen it
I would be
again.
lying if I said I couldn't throw this movie on right now and laugh hysterically.
Really?
There's something about it that just makes me laugh. It may very much be a moment in time movie. Like, just when it came out, it was one of those things. It was right around that same time as there's a group of movies that came out around this time that were just perfect. Like the before memes era, when all you did was like watch movies with your friends and then quote them for years. So it was like
The Hangover.
40-Year-Old Virgin, Hangover, Anchorman, Superbad. They were all super quotable. They were the types of things that we would throw on when we had poker games. So I do love the movie Superbad.
This guy, Seth, sounds a lot like a 2000s Ferris Bueller. Because everything you said about him, you could say about Ferris Bueller. He was a shitty
Strikingly similar to Ferris Bueller, except for there's more evidence that Seth is real than there is that Ferris Bueller was real. But
Also, Seth wouldn't dance at a parade. So.
that is true. Seth
I want him to, though.
Seth only danced with chicks who bleed on him.
I knew that was gonna come.
I mean, I don't care, but
Oh, fuck
apparently
me,
it's
right?
gross.
Fuck me, right?
That's one of my favorite gifts. Oh, fuck me, right? All right, like that's one of my favorite.
But like I said, outside of the fact that like I said, he's trying to get laid 'cause he's a high school senior. He's terrible to the only two guys that we get the impression in the course of this movie that consider him a friend. It seems when you watch this movie, there's only two people that actually like Seth, and he's super shitty to both of them. If you've only got two friends, you got to hold them a lot tighter than he holds Michael Cera and McLovin. And
Now, I haven't seen the movie in a long time, but were they actually friends with McLovin, or was he just a dude that just kept latching on?
I think he was just a dude that latched on, but I
Yeah.
think that McLovin considered Seth a friend. It was that type of thing where, like, McLovin thought that he was friends with the two of them, and he was with Michael Cera because him and Michael Cera were going to be roommates in college.
Right.
But Seth never considered McLovin a friend. That's what I'm saying. If there's only two dudes in this world that like you, find a way to like him. Find a way to be a less shitty human, because apparently you're not doing something right. There's only two people in the whole world that like you, man. You got to hang on to them a lot tighter than he does these two friends. And so my number 3 is Seth from Superbad.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm not defending Seth. And I'm not even defending. Well, Nancy, I did kind of defend it. I don't think she got so. But I'm not defending Seth. I think he is an asshole. Everything you are saying, I agree with. I just think to put them on a list of assholes, I'm like, well, they're fucking teenagers. I mean, it's just.
But is it because? So I know you said a lot, but one of the reasons why you would consider him a bad friend, Debona, is it because his one goal in the movie is to get laid?
Yes,
because then we're talking about American Pie. Then,
well, no,
American Pie did that.
No, I don't only consider that.
They did it together in American Pie. They did it as a group.
But
that's not any better.
No, Stephanie, you're right. I agree with that, because when you do it as a group, you're not a
bad friend.
You're not putting your own friend.
You might be
so they help each other get fun.
But no, he's also. I also put him on this list because being selfish about where Michael Cera goes to college has nothing to do with getting laid. That's just him being selfish about the fact that he's going to have to go off and do his own thing instead of being proud of his boy for making it into the college of his dreams. Gotcha. And he gives him shit about that and leaves him on the side of the road because he's upset that he's going to college without him. Like, that's where he crosses the line past just, I want to get laid and I'll be a shitty person, to, man, like, you're my best friend and I'm shitty to you. So I must be a shitty friend.
Gotcha. All right. Now I understand.
Missy, what is your number 3?
I want to preface this by saying that I love Julia Roberts, for the record. She can do no wrong.
Yes, she can.
Even though I hate this character, I loathe her with the fire of 1,000 suns. My number 3 is Julianne Potter. I can't think. I mean, what a problematic movie. Let's just start there. I don't know. Like, this movie, I think, came out like 98, 99, I think.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So, like, a different time. No need to cancel it. Gen Z, sit the fuck down. But, yeah, they're like, when you're talking about literally no redeemable qualities whatsoever, it's this person. She is every woman's worst nightmare. She also, like, the archetype of, like, the best friend, the girl best friend is secretly really trying to ruin the guy's, like, her guy best friend's
wedding
to
a nice person.
For those of us who live in vacation in platonic friendships with men, that is a problem. Because now it's like, now I'm fighting against this fictional character. I mean, I'm not really, but I'm just saying, like, it's out there that, like, secretly, like, that's what's happening. Like, there's nothing that this woman does in this movie that absolutely does anything to redeem. And I know she tries to fix it later on after she's royally fucked everything up. Okay. She's still, like, I don't think that she redeems herself. I don't think you deserve the gay best friend as a happy ending. Fuck that. You should, like, be alone for like 10 years for what she's done.
She's fucking mean to him too. She's super selfish to him. Puts him in a fucking crazy awkward situation where he has to fake like he's straight when he's clearly not. And it's like, why the fuck are you doing? Like, she puts him back in the closet, you know, for lack of a better phrase. And it's like, she's a really shitty human being. She's a really
awful
bad
character.
friend. Like, the whole point, like, the star of the movie, here's why she's on my list. She is the main character, the main protagonist of this movie. She is, like, literally not just Julia Roberts is, but you know, and because of that, it's also the character. It's like name above title of the movie. It's Julia Roberts in My Best Friend's Wedding, and your fucking main character. The whole point of the movie is to like the cover.
Sabotage a wedding.
The cover is literally Julia Roberts picking out the bride in a fucking cake topper. It's like
It's very
what?
upsetting.
And the fucking and the wife, his best friend's fiance, is super nice and loving and caring and trusting. It's not even like they made her. Cameron Diaz was not a bad person in that. She was annoying, fine, but that's not the same.
And
That's
she
not
tried
deserving
to.
of like.
I mean, I hate to play the woman card here, but I think Stephanie will agree is that she knew what she was doing by keeping her close. It wasn't like I'm sure the length to which.
Well, but she was still nice to the guy. It's not like she treated the guy like shit. It's not like she was overbearing.
Yeah, she wasn't like the bad. She was. Like there's not
it
really.
wasn't like Julia Roberts was saving the guy from Cameron Diaz. She wasn't. She was because there's plenty of those movies. There's plenty of those movies where he's not gonna be happy with her.
A Taylor Swift song, "Marry Me" instead of the girl that I hate. That I get it, but what I'm saying is, her character does nothing for career women, for single women in their 30s, for women who have platonic friendships, like legit through and through platonic friendships with guys, like awful, and just the very worst version of what a manipulative cunt.
I was gonna say, I think she's about to drop a C-bomb.
Like that's it.
That is the promo, ladies and gentlemen.
And I want to say at the tail end of my rant that I did think I had another movie, but she's my one and only shitty friend in the movie because the other two I couldn't get rid of. But fuck this girl, like awful. And I'm glad it never got a sequel. I hope the sequel is like her alone. You know what? Sorry, one last thing. Julia Roberts' character in August Osage County is awful. But she's still better. She's still fucking better than this bitch. And that movie is so fucked up and dark. I love it. I walk away thinking my family is healthy as fuck after I watch that movie. But even that a horrible, like wretched, bitter, awful woman is still better than this bitch. And that's saying a lot. And I love Julia Roberts. And that's it.
I'm so unfamiliar with this movie that when Neri said something about it, when he goes, so and so Potter, I was like, Harry, James, Billy. I don't know this one. I need you to elaborate.
She's awful
in the movie, bro.
We don't talk about her.
Their third cousin twice removed.
Yeah, we don't.
Deleted scenes, bro.
She's the part of the Julia catalog that shall never be discussed. She's that character's the Voldemort of her IMDb page.
All right, Stephanie, what do you got?
So I don't know about you guys, but I've had many of friends, not many, but a couple of people in my life that are like this. Does anybody have that friend that they're generally like a cool person, but the second they get into a relationship, they may as well have been like kidnapped and like launched into space?
Yes.
The easy joke here is to be like, they're on my podcast. But no, I get what you're saying. I'm joking.
So my number 3 is Bella Swan. Because
that is an excellent. I'm so mad at myself. That is an excellent. Go on.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Bella Swan from the Twilight Saga.
Oh, she's so fucking awful.
I hate Bella for a number of reasons, and as I get older, and as the Twilight Renaissance is kind of dying down a little bit.
Your face, you joy killer.
Joy killer. How does that movie bring you joy? What part of that fucking movie brings you joy?
Because it reminds me of a time of my life where I was bonding with my friends and we loved that stupid shit. And now we sit back 10 years later and laugh at how dumb we were. And we have great memories. Correct. And I will never not be thankful for that.
Memories don't have nothing to do with the movie being good or bad.
Does it remind you of that time when a damn near grown-ass man you knew fell in love with the baby the second it was born?
I'm not saying it's not problematic.
We're very aware of the problems with Twilight. We're very aware of how terrible it is as a whole.
It's awful.
But, it is what it is. I look back on that time of my life very fondly.
That's the first thing that me and Steph bonded over.
It really was.
That's now another thing to put in there.
Anyway,
I get it, man. I'm just joking, but yeah, it's about. I'm not
I'm
saying
sorry.
fuck your nostalgia or fuck your history of your friendship. It's great. We all have those. I have the same thing with The Hangover. I got wasted in the movie theater of the Hangover. Like we pre-gamed to watch The Hangover because we thought it'd be funny to be watching The Hangover drunk. And I was like, literally, somebody stood up and pissed in the back of the fucking theater. Like it was, we were that drunk. We were fucking wasted. And so I get it. So I watched The Hangover. I don't think The Hangover is the greatest. I don't think it's all right. It's fine, but that whole watching that movie reminds me of that time. I understand what you're saying, but I still could acknowledge that it's not a good movie.
Okay, but Steph, go. What are
You
your
were-
why is Bella a bad friend?
Bella's a terrible friend. Bella starts to she moves from like Arizona to Forks, Washington, and she knows nobody other than her dad. And you know, I was a transfer student in middle school, so like I can kind of relate to like moving from one school to the other and having to kind of start over and make new friends or whatever. So you never know what you're going to get into when you're moving from one school to the next, and you kind of have the worst expectations of people. And like the people she makes friends with are actually, except for one person, pretty decent people. They're funny, they're cool, whatever.
They're high school kids.
They're high school kids. They're like normal high school kids that do stupid shit and whatever. Just want to have fun.
Is Rosita now on The Walking Dead? I mean, come on.
She's Selena, ma'am. She is Selena.
You're right. She is Selena.
You just went with insert Hispanic name here. Like the most Hispanic name I could think of. Rosita. She's Rosita. Like
I'm sorry, but in the Hispanic world, Selena's way more Hispanic than Rosita. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Seth.
So, anyway, she meets Edward Cullen and then fuck her friends. And the only reason that Bella is lower on my list rather than higher is because she does end up caring about and being friends with other people. They're just all revolving around Edward, because even when she has her whole like will they won't they arc with Jacob, like the second Edward comes back, she like kicks him to the
Jacob.
curb. I hate Jacob. We're fine. Like that's totally fine there. But she's just a shitty friend all around, and if it's not related to Edward, she could not give less of a fuck. So
Chef's kiss, babe. Good job.
I can't believe we're almost 40 and we're still saying fuck Jacob.
I
can't believe.
Listen, you have to be there.
And still having Jacob.
Also, let's not just go throwing around numbers like that. If we
that was very offensive, sir.
Well, and by the way, just to backtrack,
almost
still choosing violence.
Yeah, I almost got kicked out of Steph's house last week.
Yeah, she told me last week that I was closer to 40, and I almost punched her in the face.
But but I realized that I was
correct.
I
am still in my mid 30s.
The best kind.
This is what happened. This is what happened.
You round up, 4
no.
down.
I'm still 34.
Don't take that away from her. Don't take that away from her.
I'm still 34 for like another 3 weeks. Give me my middle 30s.
Stephanie, I'm backing you up. I'm saying if it's 5 or more you round up for, you're 34.
Well,
you're not fucking 40.
She said something about 30-year-olds dating 60-year-olds. She's like, what's the big difference? I would do it. And then it was one of those moments where I go, I started saying it fast and then I slowed down like I was gonna do something about stopping what I was saying. I could have just shut the fuck up, but I was like, but you're closer to 40. And she's like, get the fuck out.
No.
Yes, that's exactly how it happened. And just to backtrack,
heard you.
Just to backtrack, the Twilight Renaissance that we're talking about is on the heels. It's not the original run of the books and the shitty movies. It's a Midnight Sun, the event of last year that it just brought everything up. So
between Midnight Sun and TikTok, it kind of came back.
It's just and the fact that we're talking about it now, like look forward to some Twilight videos.
I tried rewatching those movies. I was like, you know what? Maybe I didn't give it a
awful.
chance. Maybe
no,
I didn't
they're not good.
I made it through one book and one movie.
I did a whole rewatch last year, like when Midnight Sun came out, and I was
awful.
I
still stand that the movies, I mean the books, although not great, like classics, are way better than the movies. But
I've never read the book, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that's accurate because there can't be worse than those fucking movies. I don't think that's allowed to be published, right? You can't publish
Correct.
something that's fucking worse than that
Yeah,
movie.
my eyes are so dry. All right.
All
Sorry.
right. So, all right. So you picked Bella Swan from Twilight.
I buy you presents now, friend. That
Thank
was a
you.
fantastic pick.
I appreciate that.
My number 3 is Captain America, because he is a shitty friend to Tony, and therefore, when your
Are
other
you okay?
when your
What's
other
happening
friend-
right now?
when you're-
Honestly.
when your friend kills your other friend's parents and you know about it and you don't tell them, you're a shitty friend. That's what you are. You're a shitty friend and you don't deserve the happy ending that you fucking get.
But that's one mistake, not
Yes,
a series
that's
of bad friendship.
So
That's a pretty huge mistake.
I'm really, really glad Dave is not on this episode because he would have died.
Oh my god. This
technically kidding.
this
I'm
changes
technically kidding.
everything.
I'm technically
Are you
kidding.
okay?
That's not my actual pick, but I thought it would be funny to bring it up.
You're such a
I know it's not, but my
Penis.
eyeball is about to explode out of my head right
It's
now,
not- it's not
and
my
I'm not going to
dishonorable-
sit here and debate it because I'm sure it's not your actual pick. But
No,
oh
it's
my
not,
god,
it's not my actual pick, but the only
need
reason it's not my
chocolate.
actual pick is because I realized it too late and I already had my
I need
list.
alcohol.
And I already had I would have loved to have put this guy as my number 4 because the other 3 are much worse friends. But I already gave Julianne Potter. I'm not going
One
to rewrite
secret,
history. So
please.
as a dishonorable mention is Captain America. But the real number 3 is Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell.
Oh my god,
good choice.
awful friend.
Yeah.
Boo.
That guy's
Boo,
sucks.
Zach Morris.
fantastic
word.
choice.
Zach Morris from Saved by the
Time
Bell,
out.
the only teenager on my list. And the only reason I put him on my list
But he's
is
a
because
teenager. We all do shitty
only-
things. We're
But the
teenagers.
only reason before I get interrupted again, the only reason I put him on my list is because he was shitty, not just for a teenager. He didn't just do teenager behavior that made him shitty. He was shitty a lot for like very non.
Even in the
teenager
college
shit.
years.
Yeah, even in the college years, he was shitty. Even in his fucking Hawaii trip, he was shitty. There's so many like there were so many chances
stress
for him to
eating.
be like, maybe now he's not an asshole. And it's like, nope, he never had that. He never got
Nope.
that. Like he learned his quote unquote lesson every single episode, only to come back the next episode and be a shittier friend the next
So
time.
bad.
Remember that
Totally.
time he made fun of the person in the wheelchair just for
Oh
no
my
reason?
god,
Just
man, it was
'cause-
really bad.
Or the big
She's
girl.
the only one.
Yeah.
She's the only one that has to be here. The fucking big girl that won him at a fucking auction. Why the fuck are you bidding on this asshole? I know it's
Because that's what they teach us. If he's an
Right.
asshole, he likes you. Bleh.
Yeah, they do teach us that.
So he's just an asshole. And again, I don't feel like me putting him on this list is me putting him on here because he's an asshole in teenager ways. He had
Yeah,
plenty
like
of time-
across the
he-
board.
across the board,
Oh,
bad
yeah.
fucking friend to everybody, to Screech, to Jesse Spano, to fuck
R.I.P.
every single friend. He's just an asshole.
Is he
to.
an asshole in the reboot too?
I only seen so I've only seen the first episode of the reboot, and he was a pretty shitty mayor. So I'm gonna say yes.
He's a
still-
mayor.
He's the mayor?
Yeah, he's the mayor. He's the
Maybe-
mayor of
He could,
Of course he
you know what?
fucking
That
is.
tracks. That's fine.
Yeah,
like, be a
that's-
shitty person and get a bunch of people to vote for you because you're a piece of shit. That this is America.
Not my mayor. Ted Danson and Mr. Mayor is my mayor. Is my
Correct.
LA mayor.
correct. But so he's the mayor, and I've only seen one episode, and he's really out of touch. And then, to be honest with you, in the episode, spoiler alert, he wins we already see after he won the election. It was not like we see the election, but we find out in the first episode that he only entered and he had no expectations of actually winning, and then he fucking won. And now he's at a point where he's like way above his head. He doesn't know what the fuck to do, so he's just
Resign.
Shocking.
yeah.
And-
So
If there's anybody who is listening that doesn't remember Zach Morris as being a piece of shit, go to YouTube and look up Zach Morris is trash. And
Yeah.
there's an entire YouTube series dedicated to proving everything that we're saying right now.
correct.
You suck.
I grew up as a
Boo.
kid. I grew up like as a huge Zach Morris fan. Huge. I was like, oh, because he's
Yeah.
the cool kid. He's the good-looking cool kid, and I mean, Tiffany Amber Thiessen was my first crush. So the fact that he was dating, it was perfect recipe for little boy
Right.
wanting to be that dude. He was everything I wasn't. He was good looking. He had fucking amazing hair. He had the chick. He had the hot girl. And I was like, I want to be Zach Morris. Girls want him, and boys want to be him. Like that's what I was. And then I get a little older, and you're like, man, Jesus Christ, Zach. I'll be honest with you. I didn't go back and watch the show a lot, and it wasn't until I watched the series Zach Morris is Trash that I was like, are they just picking out the worst parts of the episode? And then I went back and watched the show, and I go, man, he is an asshole every fucking turn.
It's not even that Saved by the Bell doesn't age well. For the time, he was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
It was just the people that they were pitching the show at didn't realize.
Yes.
They did that's just how teenage boys are kind of.
Yeah, but it was like what third?
No, I think it's because the audience was teenage boys. And I think
that's
so it's very hard to watch yourself on TV and think like we're not good people. We got to change. I think that just teenage boy just watched it and was like, yeah, man, fucking Zach is cool. Like,
just had a social awakening watching Saved by the Bell.
Also, I mean, it goes on and on. But when Kelly breaks up with him for liking, because she has a crush on her manager, which HR issue, but that's another episode. He's like a complete dick to her and like throws her pom poms out. Like, shut up with that.
I'm fine.
Never mind the fact that the second Tori showed up in his leather vest, he was like, "Hey, fuck you."
Wait, Neri, you said you're fine with the way he acted?
Yeah, in the sense of I'm not fine with it in the sense of like I condone it. I'm fine with it in the sense of like he's heartbroken. Like I get it. That's more understandable than hey, I'm dating this overweight girl, fucking want me and let me fucking treat her like shit. Hey, I'm dating this girl in a wheelchair and let me make a speech about hey, she's the only one that actually has to be in the wheelchair. Like all of that shit. Like when you're heartbroken and you do shit like you throw her pom poms, like really did he fucking threw her pom poms? Oh boy, no. Like that's like to me on a like it doesn't compare to the rest of the asshole in this. That I'm like it's fine. He's going through a breakup, but that to me is at least excusable. Not doesn't make it right, but I can understand the excuse.
Fair enough.
But the shit that he did to the fat girl, I'm sorry. Even then I knew. Even then I was like, even as a kid, I was like, this is not right. This is not right. That's not cool, man. That's not cool. So Zach Morris is my number 3, barely edging out Captain America.
I'm fucking sadist, bro. You gotta talk to somebody about that shit, honestly.
We're gonna talk about it later. So the number 3s were Seth from Superbad, Julianne Potter from My Best Friend's Wedding, Bella Swan from Twilight, and Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell.
Round 2.
Dose, the sequel to Uno.
All right. Number 2, DeBono, what do you got for your number 2, man?
My number 2 is a grown-ass man, so we don't have to have that argument. He is somebody who is a shitty human being in general, but as the show, the couple of times we see him in the show, we realize that he turns being a shitty human being into being a shitty friend by taking advantage of the people or possibly one person who considers him a friend. My number 2 is Todd Packer from The Office.
Great pick.
Todd Packer's just a shitty individual.
Awful.
Right? Like Todd Packer's just like scum of humanity, awful human being. But what makes him a terrible friend is that there's one person in the entire world that seems to cape for Todd Packer, and it's Michael Scott. And he still manages to treat Michael Scott like absolute shit, to the point that he one time literally shit in his office as a joke.
We don't know if he did that.
He said he did.
They just call it a thing. We don't know if it was a fish, a dead animal. Like they were very vague about what it was. Like that
shit
thing
in his office. Anyway,
are you doing the Vanilla Ice thing where it's like it's not the same? It goes. Like, is that what you're doing right now?
I used that analogy.
We never knew it was shit. They literally call it the thing. We don't know what the fuck it is. I always thought it was a dead animal.
The poo thing.
That's what I thought.
So we watched Ted Packer just be a genuinely awful human being who possibly thinks that all of these people in the office are his friends because he has no concept of what actual friendship is, which makes a shitty friend and a shitty human being. But then we watch him be terrible to Michael every time he shows up. He takes
Who's
advantage
not a
of
great
Michael.
person.
Who is
Michael
not a
is
great
not a great person.
You're
and
correct.
you're making Michael Scott look like a great friend, and you go, "Oh, well, you're fucking
Exactly. He comes off the road and goes, and Michael immediately, like I said, Michael's the only person in the world that will cape for Todd Packer. Goes to Holly, and he's like, yeah, this is all a formality. That's my boy. Like, give him the job. It's all good. Trust me. And then he takes advantage of the fact that he knew Michael was going to get this job, shows up, is terrible to everybody, and then still turns around, looks Michael in the face, and tells him that the love of his life is a bitch and that he should leave her. Todd Packer somehow manages elevating being the worst human being in the world to also being number 2 on my list, worst friend possible. Because he just can't understand what friendship is. In his mind, the things he's doing aren't terrible, which I was torn about where to put him on my list because I can't even really figure out if Todd Packer is some sort of sociopath that doesn't understand
might be.
how badly he's treating the one person who considers him a friend, and that I genuinely think that Todd possibly thinks that Jim and Dwight and all these people are his friends until they get him fired, and then he comes back with the cupcakes. But
Now he's like, cupcakes, you say?
in that aspect,
Just
that's
like
what
Kevin.
makes him an even worse friend, is the fact that he can find no fault in the things that he's doing. Like I said, is it that he's a sociopath? Quite possibly.
Awful.
But that makes a terrible friend. But outside of everything, the way that he treats Michael, the one person in the world who also considers him a friend, is what makes Todd Packer just absolutely terrible. So my number 2 is Todd Packer from The Office.
No argument.
That's a fantastic pick.
Yeah.
That is yeah,
Awful.
he's a piece of shit. But he is a big fan of William Hung. So
Why does everybody keep asking me that?
okay.
Oh, man.
All right. So Missy, what do you got for your number 2?
So my number 2 is probably a show that nobody else finished. I think Steph started it, but she definitely did not finish it. My number 2 is Hannah Horvath from Girls.
So the entire cast of Girls is an honorable mention for me.
Yes. I was torn. I was torn between her and Marnie, but I went with Hannah because she by
Throw
this
them all
much.
away.
Like,
Girls is one of the
no.
3 shows I eliminated because I couldn't pick one person.
Okay. I think Jessa is not a bad friend. Her arc, she starts off shitty, but she ends in a completely different place.
I think of any of them, the only one that I maybe could forgive is Shoshana.
But Shoshana and Jessa both start out in the same assholery place as Marnie and Hannah. They end in a completely different 180.
But I could never pick between.
Yeah, but
Marnie.
So I was just take all 4 of them and throw them away.
Okay.
Done.
So I pick Hannah because
Well, you had to pick somebody.
I had to pick one. I needed to pick somebody from the show because the show deserves to be on this show. That's how I'll defend.
There's no redeeming qualities on this show. That's
one.
The
Well,
title should have
I
been
would
Shitty Friend.
We didn't see Adam Driver's donger, though.
I would disagree.
No,
I would disagree with that
that's
because I would say that the worst thing about this show, even though Marnie is an awful character, like overall, not just Friends, she's an awful character. She's Steph, we know somebody like that. And it's just, if you do know somebody like Marnie and you deal with her, you manage that relationship, it's just very triggering to watch a fictional fucking version of that on the TV. But Hannah starts and ends in the exact same caliber of fucking awful. She has 0 fucking redeeming quality. She's a super entitled,
narcissist,
selfish. She her entire relationship with Adam is completely lopsided in favor of what she wants. She doesn't listen to what he wants. She fucks around and like leaves, comes back and gets mad at him for dating somebody else. It's like he didn't know when you were coming back. Now, does anybody care about spoilers?
No.
I've seen it all.
Okay. So around season 5, when Adam and Jessa finally get together, because that was a fucking obvious match from the jump for me. So it wasn't like controversy, but they made way more sense in the same spirit of like how it's obvious when you start Dawson's Creek that the couple, the will they won't they, is Dawson and Joey. But if you look closer, it's not. And I would make the same argument for Jessa and Adam. But she's total fucking selfish across, like there's never a redeeming quality. Nothing that she ever does in the show in any capacity is for anyone else other than what she fucking wants. And that's like the worst friend to ever have to deal with, is somebody that can't fucking see past like their own brain of what they want. It's just the worst. And the show is problematic. I know it's it's like a gentrified story of Brooklyn. Like it's not it's like fine to hate the show. And Lena Dunham plays an asshole very well.
Nobody likes this show. I think we all
Nobody
feel the
does.
same way. Everybody hate watches this show.
No, yes, I only stuck around with the show because I was already down the rabbit hole and I needed to see. There's one episode.
I hate watch. Sorry,
there's one episode that actually has nothing to do with that's Marnie and fuck, what's her boyfriend? I forget his Charlie. When Charlie comes back, Debona, in the later seasons, remember for that one episode?
Oh yeah, like it was like a throwaway like Monster of the Week style episode.
It was, yes, because it was in the you guys ever seen Panic at the
Disco?
No.
Yes, I have.
I was gonna say the same thing, but I was like, I don't think that's what she.
Panic in Needle Park is it's a throwaway Al Pacino movie, like from the jump of his career. But that episode where Charlie comes back, Debona, it was kind of like an homage to that movie, which the movie is great. You just literally can't find it anywhere. But I saw it when it was streaming on Netflix a few years ago, and it was fucking phenomenal. But anyway, that episode in the later, basically as the show progressed, the only reason to keep watching was to see where everyone else was gonna go and fuck Hannah from, like, she was just awful. So number 2 is Hannah Horvath. Boom.
You could have picked anybody from there and it would have been the correct choice.
I don't look, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I feel like, and I don't want you to do this, but if you finish the series, you might agree with me.
I love a hate watch. I will watch. I currently have like a love-hate relationship with the show I'm watching right now.
What?
I'm watching Suits.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a little bit of love.
So shark jumpy.
Yeah, I feel like I'm there in the shark jumpy time. But anyway,
does the shark wear a suit?
Yes. A $3,000 suit. But anyway, I love a hate watch, and that show was so
I don't disagree with
could
you.
not.
When did you quit?
I saw, so I wanted to quit after the first episode. I was like, this is awful. This is the most unrelatable shit I've ever seen in my life. Yep. But I was like, you know what? And mostly I did it like as motivation so that you couldn't talk shit. I was like, I'm gonna give it. Yeah. I'm gonna give it.
Well, then I'm gonna start talking shit so you finish the fucking series.
I was like, I want to give it an entire season because I want to see at least one season through to make sure that this isn't hot garbage.
Yes.
You know,
and you're right.
On the off chance that it isn't a dumpster fire.
Right. No, I don't disagree with you. But
so
I would
stuck through the entire first season, and I
would just argue. I would just say that there's an argument to be made that even though to certain degrees everyone remains, I mean, but everybody's an asshole. Like, you know, that's life. That's being a person. But I still stand by the fact that, like, the reason to keep watching is for everybody's story except for Hannah's, because literally if she would have fucking died at the end of the first season and the show would have continued on, it would have been better. It would have been better for it. And in the words of our buddy David Rose, if you ever want an idea of what to do in New York, if you ever want an idea of what to do in New York and the season finale, he's like, oh, just watch an episode of Girls and do the exact opposite. And that's pretty much Girls in a nutshell. So I'm not defending the show by any means, but I'm just saying that she's for sure the worst.
I really would love to speak to somebody that genuinely loves that show.
I don't think Lena
I
Dunham.
don't think
You wanna
it's
I
talk
was
to
gonna
her?
say you gotta call Lena Dunham.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to talk to her. She sucks. She's
But
just
she
a
plays
person.
that asshole really well. You gotta
Because
give
she's
her
just playing herself.
credit.
She's literally just playing herself.
Yeah, I
Anyway, I'm
watched
done
the
now.
entire first season because everybody in Hollywood was like raving about this fucking
I
show.
Yeah.
know. I don't get
Including
it.
Tina Fey talking about how Leah Dunham's like the new comedy writer, and like,
That's who I got me into it too. I was
Yeah.
like, well, Tina Fey likes it.
I don't think
Tina
she's
Fey
even
is
gonna
giving
say
you
that
this-
now though.
And
Yeah.
Tina Fey's giving it all this credit. Like she literally said something about like the new generation of comedy
Yeah, she did.
writers and all this like boasting. And I'm like, oh, I gotta watch the show. And then I watched it. I was like, this is not funny. This is awful. And then I'm like, maybe I'm watching it with like the lens of like thinking it's supposed to be Tina Fey funny. But then I was like, no, it's just not funny. Like it was just I watched the entire first season and I was like, I don't ever care. I think I watched like maybe a episode or two. You could fucking point a gun to my family's head and be like, tell me what happens. I'm like, I don't know. I don't remember what I just remember hating what I did watch, and I remember thinking this is not funny.
I'm really glad that like the Lena Dunham star faded quickly because
she did
like,
it to herself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I don't
100%
think it was.
did it to
I
herself.
don't think it faded as much as it was
She just
self-extinguished.
shot herself in the face.
Yeah, she managed to piss out her own fire.
Yeah, so but I'm really glad because like they were toting her to be like the voice of the millennials,
Yeah, but
I'm so glad that that's not.
Even Adam, the character of Adam, he's like weird. Like where he starts and where he ends is completely different, and it's not just because I'm an Adam Driver fan, but it is where it started. So,
All right,
that's my number 2.
Stephanie, what do you got for your number 2?
So my number 2, this is another one that the whole cast probably could have qualified, but I picked the one with the least amount of character development, in my opinion. My number 2 is Gretchen Weiners from Mean Girls.
Yeah,
that's another one where I was like, how do you
oh my god, yes.
how do you throw out a plastic? And I can't just put the plastics on the list.
Do you know that Damien and Janice came up in a lot of these?
And they're not great friends either. Like nobody in this movie is a good friend, really.
Patty Heron was like a pawn.
She wasn't a good friend either, though.
But she was a pawn.
She was a pawn.
She's
and
a freak.
She is a homeschool jungle freak. She probably had like no social. She had like no social cues whatsoever. Yeah. So you can kind of forgive hers. But Gretchen literally like, so in the book that this movie is based on called Queen Bees and Wannabes, it's not a fictionalized story. It's a nonfiction book about like the social hierarchy of like teenage girls and how they interact with each other, whatever. And it breaks down the positions in the group of friends. Mm-hmm. So you have the queen bee, which is obviously Regina. You have the sidekick. And then the one that I think Gretchen is, that is clearly Gretchen, is this position called the banker. So the banker in a girl group is basically somebody that like basically just hoards information to use it against people.
Because she's such a good friend.
Because she's such a good friend. And whereas like Regina fights dirty and says shit to your face and just is like very upfront about that she knows she's a fucking shitty person and she's very unapologetic about it. Not that that's any better, but Gretchen does it sneaky, and Gretchen doesn't change. The entire movie, she basically ends up just being the queen bee of a different group doing the same shit. There's zero fucking character development here. She has one moment of weakness and one moment of vulnerability in the bathroom, and then just kind of like forgets it, because in the immediate next scene, she's talking to a group of girls about how she's sorry that everybody's so jealous of her, but she can't help it that she's popular. So
that movie
look,
is so great.
I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying if you ever expect me to say an unkind word about Lacey Chabert, it ain't gonna happen.
No, I get it. And Lacey Chabert,
not Hallmark,
is a treasure.
Not Hallmark Channel's star.
The original voice of Meg.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a Hallmark movie, you know,
she's up there with Candace Cameron. I'm not even bullshitting you. I'm sad that I know that. I'm actually
She is, but and she's wonderful as Gretchen Weiners. Like, she really is a great fucking great portrayal of this character. And you're supposed to feel bad for Gretchen at times, but she does nothing.
I was supposed to feel bad for her.
You're supposed to feel bad for her in the bathroom when she's telling the story about the hoop earrings.
I mean, I felt bad for myself because I don't have real sterling silver hoop earrings. But
I
I guess that was
I was
my Gretchen Wiener moment.
in my looking up for this mountain and my doing research for this mountain. The plastics came up a lot as a group,
They
Yeah.
did.
and
They're all terrible.
one of my I know I'm not debating that. My friend said one of my favorite descriptions was when you have people telling you what to wear and when to wear it, stay clear of those toxic people. And it says Wednesdays is for whatever the fucking color you want it. I was like, all right, I get it. I like that.
It's
That's
completely
why you can't
working.
sit with us.
That's why
Yeah.
you can't sit with us.
And I'm that's the best thing I've ever heard in my life. Really. That brings me joy beyond.
Those are the rules of feminism. And if
Those
you
are
don't
the-
like
That
them,
if you want to talk
you
about
can't sit.
quotable movies,
That
that's up
movie's super
there.
quotable.
Oh, it's
Like
definitely
up there
there.
with The Hangover and
Yeah.
Superbad as quotable movies. So that's a good pick. Good job, Steph.
Can I just tell you that the shit that makes me laugh about the Superbad? I don't remember much about that movie, but there's two things that make me laugh about it. Three things. One is the fuck me, right? Like that shit makes me laugh all the time. And then the period dancing, that shit made me laugh. And then when he bops his nose, boop, I remember that's so funny to me. I don't know why. It's so stupid and simple and small, but the boop. This shit is hilarious to me. Anyways, but I don't remember much about that movie. All right, so my number 2, I'm sure it's gonna be tabled, is Carrie Bradshaw from Sex and the City. Wow, that's sad that nobody fucking tabled that.
It's an obvious pick.
It's an obvious pick, yeah.
You know what? You're right. Captain America, my number 2. I'm not even kidding. Captain America is my number 2. He's a shitty friend for all the reasons I mentioned earlier. His friend killed his other friend's fucking parents. He knew about it, didn't say anything to him, and then continued to fucking beat him up when he wanted to fucking avenge his parents' death. So yeah, you're bad.
Okay,
friend.
are we seriously sticking with this? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Am I
Oh, he
feeding the
said
troll
he's
here?
de-
Are you dead
No,
ass sticking
ask
with
him
this?
about Wanda. Ask him about Wanda.
Okay,
I love
Yeah.
Wanda. She's fantastic.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
but in the realm of being a friend, he chose his oldest friend
Sure.
over the one who was
Just
more
because you're a
recent.
good, just
he
because
chose, he
wait,
chose
wait.
the person who'd been there with him when
Right.
he was nothing
That's great. That's fantastic.
over the person that he had recently met who had done nothing until this point except talk shit about him. At that point in Civil War, Tony and Steve weren't even good friends. They were still constantly at odds.
That's not true. They were good friends in the beginning of Age of Ultron. They were friends. It was the events of
they were work
Ultron
buddies.
afterwards. He financed everything and paid for everything and everything.
Oh my god!
Doesn't make them friends.
yeah,
they were work
again,
buddies.
So you think that
Workplace.
money buys friendship?
He was actually such a good friend that he was willing to hide the fact that his best friend had murdered someone.
Again, he was a good friend to Bucky. I'm not debating that. I'm not arguing that. That's not in the cards here. That's nowhere to be argued, right? No lies detected. He was a great friend to Bucky. In being a great friend to Bucky, he was an awful friend to Tony. Because
Who wasn't his friend? He was his coworker.
Wait. You have Todd Packer, who's a dick to everybody, and you still have him on the list. Because
If he was a dick to only Michael Scott, it would be a different conversation.
Right, that's the thing. Steve was a friend he was a good friend to everybody but Tony, who wasn't his friend. Tony was his coworker. They were constantly at odds.
There's a line in the movie where he says, he's my friend, and he says, so was I. That's the line of the movie. Nowhere did Steve go, we're work friends. We're work buddies. No, we're not really friends.
But that was Steve acknowledging that he considered Bucky a friend, not Tony.
No. He's saying that he said, why are you defending him? He said, because he's my friend. And Tony said, so was I, meaning that he was friends with Steve. And Steve never said, hey, Tony, we're work buddies. Take it easy. I think he's a dickheaded friend. And don't get me wrong, he's a great friend to Bucky. For all the reasons you mentioned, I think he's a phenomenal friend to this whole, from the beginning, and I could do this all day and all that jazz. That's fucking great. He's a great friend to Bucky. And in a lot of ways, Bucky is, again, not really responsible, or maybe he is, or maybe not. That's a whole gray area of the, why he did what he did. But the fact that he hid it from the information from him, and the fact that he continued to whoop Tony's ass. It wasn't. They weren't. He wasn't doing the stop trying to kill my friend fighting. He was the I'm gonna fuck you up fighting, and that's to me is different.
Well,
and that to me makes him a dickhead
first
friend.
off, that's cyclical because he was now in a position to defend his friend who grew up defending him, but he had to take that stance in fighting Tony because Tony was going to murder Bucky.
But again, the fighting
you don't go against somebody who's trying to murder you by just only doing the little bit of defensive you have to. If if someone is attempting to murder your friend, you fight back in full force.
Wait. As someone who watches Cobra Kai, you know that's incorrect. As someone who watches Cobra, you should know better, Debona. You should know better. There's never a need for Mortal Kombat there. You should know. No, he's just look. I get it. It's not a black and white thing. I'm fully understanding. I'm fully aware. I'm not saying that that there's all wrong and that there's no reason for that. I'm not saying any of that. I think that you're completely right. He was a great friend to Bucky, but in doing so, he was a bad friend to Tony. There are reasons, and it's complicated. That's what makes the movie so amazing, and that's what makes the movie good because it's complex. It's a series of events that happen. It's not just cut and dry. If not, it would be a boring fucking movie, right? If not, it'd be called Suicide Squad. So it's not that. So,
Also,
I get it. It's complex, and this is the conversation and the argument that I'm always willing to have and find. I'm not adamant in my thing. I'm not adamant in my thinking that there's no redeeming quality to Steve.
I actually started liking him a lot more because of Winter Soldier.
And look, and fair enough. I mean, you're making very valid points in him being a bad friend to Tony. I think right now I'm taking issue with the fact that you've got him all the way at number 2. Maybe that's part of what's bad about this.
This order got all fucked up because
I get it.
This order got all fucked up because he would have been like I said before, he would have been my number 4 had I remembered him before. And then I picked Carrie Bradshaw as my number 2, and everybody's like, it's obvious, and I'm like, you know what, it is, and everything. I realized
that not everybody.
I've seen 0 episodes of Sex and the City.
I said it too. That's the reason it wasn't on my list. Like, if you want her on your list, by all means.
No. And here's the reason I backed off from Carrie Bradshaw is because I realized as I'm saying Carrie Bradshaw,
she's terrible.
And as I heard Missy and Stephanie both say, it's an obvious pick. It wasn't so much the obvious pick; it's the fact that those words rang in my ear, and I thought everything that was said about every girl from Girls and every girl from Mean Girls, it was about to be said again by me.
Fair enough.
It. And I was like, man, that really doesn't make for a good podcast. So I'm just like, so when you said obvious choice, it wasn't so much, oh, it's obvious. It was like, what I heard in my mind was more, it's redundant. We've made this pick twice in a row now. Okay. Let's get to a conversation that sparked argument and sparked debate. And I'm better with that pick.
I can't watch Sex in the City because I think it's Charlotte, one of the girls in there, looks like my aunt, and I'm terrified of the fact that I'm going to see her naked.
Oh, man. Thank God you said that before I said what I was about to say.
So I can't watch Sex in the City because I'm like, is she going to have sex? Because she looks just like my Aunt Jean, and I can't do that.
I'm telling you right now, like when you said Charlotte, I was about to say something like, like, oh my God, like Charlotte, and then you like, she looks just like my aunt. I was like, okay, yeah, she's a nice lady. Charlotte's a nice lady.
She looks exactly like my dad's sister, and Jesus so Christ. It freaks me out.
Did Seth quit?
She sneezed and then she left.
She was like, not gonna fucking Captain America. Fuck this guy. She
went to get Dave. She went to
tell on you.
She went to come listen to this motherfucker.
Dave is pacing the house right now. He's like,
his Spidey sense.
They're just gonna send Link. They're just gonna send Link and be like, I think.
So all right. So our number 2s were Todd Packer from The Office, Hannah from Girls, Gretchen from Mean Girls, and Captain America. Specifically in Civil War, I'll just so that I won't say the whole, because he wasn't an asshole in every movie. So that's the number 2s. Let's get on to the honorable mentions. I don't have a cool little sound thing for the honorable mentions, but honorable mentions.
You know, might be a good thing for that. From Get Smart, the Missed It by That Much.
That is.
I actually think I do have that one.
Oh yeah, I believe that is on the soundboard somewhere.
Yeah.
All right.
You're
so
welcome.
My honorable mentions, couple that I threw out because the whole cast could have qualified. Always Sunny and Seinfeld.
I knew that Always Sunny would have been one of yours.
They're all shitty people who are shitty to each other and terrible in their friendships. But ones that I actually could have made my list: Cartman from South Park, Worm from Rounders.
Oh yes.
Walter from The Big Lebowski, and Titus from Kimmy Schmidt. I can't settle on whether or not Titus is a bad friend or if he's just so self-centered that he doesn't realize what being a friend is about. So that's why. But I got to throw it out there because he's not always great to Kimmy, and she's basically all he's got.
Fair.
He's basically all she's got. So those are my honorable mentions.
That's a fair assessment of Titus, even though I love Titus.
Oh no, I love Titus. I think he's hilarious.
I
but
found
he's not
that
great
in some of these shitty friend characters that we like them because they're funny and they're charming, but they're not good people. That was like the at least when I was narrowing down this list. So sorry, Missy, go ahead.
So my honorable mention was first off the gate, Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. Awful.
Was he
awful?
Was he anybody's friend?
He played you. Gretchen. Listen, Littlefinger walked, so Gretchen Weiners could run. Okay. Will Truman, awful friend, awful. Will and Grace, awful. Paris Geller from Gilmore Girls. Nobody knows what I'm talking about.
No, I actually almost put Paris up there because they were so competitive that it was toxic, and I thought about putting Paris on there.
The thing is that Paris. Oh yeah, well, Lorelai and Rory are awful people, but Paris Geller. The thing with her is that she starts off horrendous, but keeps the same tenacity and caliber of intense. But turns it, instead of going against Rory, she's for her now. So it shifts.
Becomes a redeeming trait.
Yeah, but Paris Geller, in Chilton, was a fucking nightmare. Awful. So and then my last one was Ferris Bueller because he's fucking awful.
Also fake. So.
I don't know if he's awful. I people hate him.
He's selfish as fuck. He doesn't care that Cameron has debilitating anxiety and hypochondriac.
Does he make Cam a better person?
No, you don't fucking treat mental illness with throwing them in the cold fucking bath of
Would
water.
you deny that Cam is a better person by the end of Ferris Bueller? The push of Ferris
because of shock therapy.
Cam, but by the end, Cam is better because of Ferris Bueller. And that is why I can't put Ferris anywhere on this list.
I disagree.
He gave them a fun day, even if it was against their will. I'm not saying that he wasn't selfish. I'm not saying that he wasn't selfish. I'm saying that it was it was against their will, and yes, he handled Cameron's social anxiety incorrectly. This was, and not to be that guy that's it's a different time, but this wasn't a thing. This wasn't prevalent. People didn't know about social anxiety back then. People didn't know.
People didn't know to respect fat people and Saved by the Bell. Saved by the Bell's heyday, and Zach Morris still gets.
That's a universal thing. You should always not make fun of fat people. I think
no, that's a new thing. That's a new thing.
That's a new thing.
Is that a new thing?
1,000%.
Really
I gotta be honest with you, as a stand-up comedian, fat people are the only group that I can still make fun of. I don't even know if that's a thing.
You might want to work on some shit just as a backup.
I don't know. As long as I'm fat, I could do whatever I want. But no, again, I'm not defending Ferris's behavior, and I'm not. I'm just saying that he still made he wanted to let them have or make them have a legendary day. The way he went about it, the way he went about it was wrong. The way he went about it was wrong. I concur with that. But it was still a pretty kick-ass day, a pretty impossible day, by the way. Can we just talk about how long each of those things fucking last? You go to a baseball game.
Yeah, the Cubs game is 4 hours long.
Yeah,
right?
the Cubs game is 3-4 hours long. That's it. School's out. You're done. That's all you fucking did is you went to the baseball game, which, by the way, it started at 1.
Yeah.
What high school are we going to? What is this? Like I don't understand.
High school in the suburbs of Chicago. Like
Right, but and also like there's a parade and a ball game, and we got all that squeezed in one game.
That just seems like a lot of traffic for a very high metropolitan area.
How did everybody get to the game if there was a traffic through downtown?
We're trying to work out logistics for a movie, guys, because I gotta talk to you about Independence Day. Like
I specifically like the fact that I was like, yeah, mental illness, it's awful. But like, can we talk about the
yeah. You were way more like out of pocket because of the like how did they have the gas mileage for that shit?
It is true.
BRB.
Excellent.
All right. Well, thank God this isn't a live show. Like, okay. So what are you guys up to? You guys cool? You guys? Yeah. This is the weirdest time for a BRB. She literally said BRB. Shh. Hey, what's up?
Suck a dick. What did I miss?
Nothing. We were confused as to what to do.
How you just pieced out? Yeah.
Oh, I had to take off my sweater. Hace calor.
All right, so let's get to our number one.
Wait, hold on. You and Steph haven't done honorable mentions yet.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I didn't realize that.
Stephanie.
All right. Stephanie.
So on top of the entire cast of girls, I'm also going to throw the entire cast of How I Met Your Mother minus Marshall, specifically pointing out Lily.
Thank you.
Steve Stiffler from American Pie.
See, now this is one that came up a lot online, and Stifler's a shitty individual.
He is.
Is he a shitty
very little
friend?
character development, like 4 movies of very little character.
I mean, but that he's supposed to be
to that group of guys, he was a hard ass and he busted their balls. But was he a bad friend to that group of guys? I don't know that he was.
He made Finch take a bunch of laxatives and then pointed him to the girl's bathroom.
Yeah, that is true.
That's really terrible.
That's awful. As I laugh.
That's literally
shitty. Okay, all right, you got me there.
Literally and figuratively. Listen, I love American Pie. Like, I know it doesn't age well. I know it's a very like bro-ish movie, and I probably shouldn't like it. But I love those movies, like for what they are. And he's not, I can appreciate Stifler for what he is, and he does have some good qualities, but he also doesn't like even in the reunion that's supposed to, which wasn't as good as the other ones, but he's still like this. He's like Chip Matthews in high school. Like he doesn't grow up.
That's absolutely who he is.
Fair enough.
I ate too much.
And then honorable mentions also to Carrie Bradshaw and Louis Litt from Suits, who I hate and I want to throw off a fucking building. I fucking hate that guy. If nobody else watches Suits, I'm sorry, but he's
I support you. My friend Christy. You might want to text her about that because she loves that show.
Oh, does she?
I think so. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I have to.
Yeah. Her and Jeff are fans of that show. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The moment Missy said, I'm like, yes, they are.
That's where her fandom for Meghan Markle began. She's an OG.
Yeah. I have a love-hate relationship with that show currently. So.
Wow.
All right.
Mary?
I don't have a lot to go on, to be honest with you.
Well, no, you already shot the bed, so. Joking. I thought jokes were a thing here. Jesus. I thought I'm joking.
You can't make fun of me. I'm fat. All right. So my dishonorable mentions, I guess I should say, are Carrie Bradshaw from Sex and the City. Also the redhead from Sex and the City.
Miranda?
I gotta say, retrospectively, Miranda was like right 90% of the time.
Is she a lesbian in real life or in the show?
Yeah.
No, on the show she's not, but on
okay.
On real life,
I knew it was one or the other.
Yeah. She was married to a guy in real life, and then they got divorced.
She was a late in life lesbian.
I want that in the reboot, and I might watch.
Miranda as not inaccurate in the things that she says or does, but still doesn't make them a good. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you don't need somebody to be brutally.
She definitely is like a tough love kind of person.
Yeah, sometimes you don't need that. Sometimes it all depends on what you need or what kind of friendship you have. I get it. I understand. As a viewer, I'm watching her. I get very angry specifically Nancy at the shitty movie, part 1, where she did that to Big and then hit it, and then didn't tell Carrie because she fucked up and she slipped or whatever. She was having a bad day, but she could have said, "Hey, this." Earlier before
Like
fucking
come clean earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
you're
let
right.
it go for months, and that is fucked up.
Yeah. So that's her, and then there was another person, Barney Stinson ish, kind of, sort of, is on my list, as on my honorable mention list. That's it.
Fair.
That's it.
That's fair.
Okay. We're going to number ones.
Round 1. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back.
Do it. Do it. Come on. Come on.
Before I forget, I'm sorry. We did go over the number 2s. I'm sorry. Just wanted to make sure we did the recap. All right. The Bono, what do you got for your number 1?
My number 1 is a movie character who is so shitty as a person and as a friend that this character is intrinsically forever tied to this actress for me, and I have a hard time ever seeing her in anything else because this character was so bad of a friend and so bad of a person. My number 1 is Nancy Downs from The Craft, beautifully and perfectly portrayed by Fairuza Balk.
Go on.
Nancy Downs was a witch who, quite literally, if you've never seen The Craft, that's the whole point of the movie. She is a person who only viewed other human beings as a means to an end.
Yep.
And while there were people who viewed Nancy as a friend, I don't think that Nancy ever truly viewed another human being as a friend. All human beings, everything in Nancy's life were tools in order for her to establish power and become the greatest and grandest witch of all time. But she was also keenly aware of the fact that the people she surrounded herself with considered her friends, and that's what makes her so god awful. And I haven't even got to the fact yet that she literally murdered one of these people who considered her friend's boyfriend. Because
they did that in Heathers too.
Easy with the spoilers, buddy.
The Craft came out in 1996.
I know, but my wife still hasn't seen it, and I just bought it the other day to show it to her.
She's never seen The Craft?
No, she's never seen The Craft. She had also never seen what's the movie that I just showed her the other day? Remember, I just talked about it in the group chat, Missy?
But so Nancy surrounds herself with a coven that she builds, while under the guise of being friends, is just using these other people that she understands are powerful potential witches because the existence of them makes her better. She brings them on under the guise that they are her friends. They genuinely start to consider her a friend until she goes completely and totally apeshit over the fact that she realizes that Robert Tooney's character, what is her name? Sarah. That Sarah is actually the most powerful witch in the coven, and she loses her mind. And we see the fact that she never had anybody she considered a friend, that she doesn't understand what friendship is, that she's a complete and total psychopath who was able to manipulate these people in ways that she was trying to get what she wanted. And it is so amazingly portrayed by Fairuza Balk, who, like, you occasionally watch a movie and you're like, yeah, that character's good, like Nev Campbell, anybody could have been that character in this
definitely a
particular
standout.
movie.
Yeah.
But it like, when I see Fairuza Balk, that's all I see, is I see Nancy. I watch The Waterboy, I see Nancy. Hell, at this point I watch Return to Oz, I see Nancy, right? She's always there.
I think
me.
she was still the same character in The Waterboy.
Like after the asylum?
Yeah.
Like post-asylum?
I do think she genuinely loved Bobby. But in The Craft, she didn't know love. She didn't know
Mrs.
friendship.
Boucher was right.
She knew she knew manipulation, and she craved power, and that's all there was to it. And the fact that she so masterfully manipulated everyone and everything in her life to try to become the grandest witch of all time, and then, like I said, went as far as to actually murder people.
But she had like, didn't she have like trauma growing up? Wasn't it like a backstory? Like there was.
Yeah,
like
you see, she was in a mental institution and they shocked her, and then she went to Oz, and it was like this whole thing, but nobody knows if it was real. And then she became a witch.
I don't think that's what happened, guys.
Have you never seen Return to Oz, Missy?
No.
Oh, that's literally the plot of Return to Oz, and Fairuza Balk is the main character in Return to Oz.
I've seen The Craft though.
Okay, yes.
But she did have a traumatic like upbringing, right? That was a thing where.
Okay.
So no, I'm just saying, because some people people think that if you have a traumatic upbringing and you kill somebody and you make mistakes, that you're still a good person. Like some people think that.
Psychopath.
I'm just making.
There is no good. There are no redeeming qualities to Nancy Downs. So my number one, Nancy Downs from The Craft.
The key to that.
So if she wasn't, let me ask you a question out of curiosity. If Nancy was never incarcerated afterwards and was just let go, and I don't know.
Oh my God!
Like we read a book.
I hate him so much.
Would she be like a good person? Would she be a hero?
I'm disengaging.
No, but I don't. Whatever you're saying is really triggering Missy, and I don't know what's going on.
He's talking about fucking
Captain
Wanda.
America. Oh,
no, he's talking about Wanda. Listen, we were at breakfast.
I like the fact that Stephanie was annoyed with me for all the wrong reasons. He's doing the Captain America thing. I'm like, no.
We were literally at breakfast the other day, and he slipped in. He's like, "Yeah, she's the best supervillain." And I very quietly, I'm like, "She was grieving." He goes, "Yeah," and it just in a matter of 30 seconds, the conversation did this, bra, 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 and like we were like 5 octaves up in 30 seconds, and I was like, "We were watching," and he's like, "She's the best supervillain." Don't engage.
Anyway, so but yes, so Nancy Downs from The Craft, my number one.
All right.
God, I hate you.
And I just The Craft. I feel as if the other two that were not Party of Five chick. Were also not good friends.
Nev Campbell.
They were also
he's talking about Robin Tunney and Rochelle.
Rochelle. I mean, yeah, but they were pawns. Like they were.
Again, I'm not saying that they're the worst ones. I feel like they also were not good friends, not great friends. And again, The Craft does a real good thing of like showing you like they've gone through,
right. But here's the thing, like Bonnie and Rochelle, I think that Bonnie and Rochelle genuinely pulled Sarah into the coven for her to be a family member and to try to be friends with her. And yes, they understood that her being in the coven made them more powerful, but I genuinely believe that they pulled Sarah in to have her be part of their family.
I think that the Craft is like
but were they manipulated by Nancy?
The other, like if Mean Girls is one side of the coin, the Craft is the other side.
Is the occult side of the coin.
Same movie, just different.
High school hierarchy.
I haven't seen The Craft in years, but I bought it the other day for my wife because she hadn't seen it, and the movie that I was talking about, the other movie that I bought that my wife had never seen is The Cutting Edge, and we watched that the other day. So that's
I also realized while making this list and bringing people up with my wife that there were a ton of movies she hadn't seen. So and she hasn't seen The Craft either.
It's in the family.
She wanted me to mention Jack and Karen from Will and Grace, but I've never really watched it. She said that they were good friends to each other, but terrible friends to everybody else.
That's kind of fair.
Okay.
That's kind of fair.
That took off and landed real fast.
Fucking drama.
I was like, Katie, no. I was like,
not a gas.
Katie, no.
You have a good point.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's fair.
That's fair. Fair point.
All right.
Point to Katie.
What do you got for your number one?
Oh, sure, no problem. My number one, I think, is again, granted, the whole cast could be argued as an awful friend, with the exception of one person, but hands down for sure, in this realm of the TV history, Barney Stinson is 100% the worst fucking friend you could possibly want in your life. Sorry, I got distracted. I got a text message in my computer and I wasn't expecting that. Awful to Lily. Tries to like ruin her play and was a complete dick to her, and then he makes, I guess this was funny, but when he did the yeah, that the punishment kind of fit the crime, but still a dick thing to do.
For sure.
I don't remember him, like, sure, he got Marshall a job or whatever, but like he really did made an effort to suck this guy into like the Barney Stinson corporate world of douchebaggery, like just a fuckboy in a suit. I can't stand him. I could go on and on forever and a day, but I think the really one thing that I really fucking hate about Barney is the whole Robin thing. And I think that was a fucking party foul. I blame the writers for taking it as far as they did.
I blame the writers who wrote the show.
Yeah, I blame the writers for because you can make a case for a lot of couples that like it makes sense, like that it works towards that, but this was a fucking forced move on the writer's part, and it didn't fucking work from the beginning. It should have been a one night stand and that's it. And he pursues her over and over again. I can't for the life of me understand where it made sense to anyone that this was a good move, because
I think
as far as I'm concerned, isn't it like a huge party foul to like sleep with?
It is, but I think that the reason that it kind of works, or that they needed it to work, is because they needed Robin to not be available for Ted, so that she could meet, so that he could meet.
And to piggyback off what Stephanie's saying, a couple things. One, they did a whole episode about how Barney was feeling guilty because he broke the bro code, even got Marshall to bring it to look over the bro code as a lawyer and see a flaw. So they addressed that.
That was season 3, right after he smashed Robin, and then he never felt guilty again.
And so, because I think it was necessary as a show to do that, because I think the character arc of trying to humanize Barney, because he was a sociopath. This guy was like, didn't care about anybody. I think that they were trying to humanize him, that they were trying to show, look, he does he does have feelings. I
understand the intention behind it. I personally don't think it fucking worked, because I personally, as a watcher, it just didn't ever track for me. He's also, before the Robin thing, he was a huge fucking cock blocker to his friends when he was trying to get Marshall to rebound after Lily left, and he was like all about trying to get him laid. I think it's the second or third episode of season 2. He fucking cock blocks him like left and right, outright, and not just once by accident. It was like consistent the whole fucking time.
However, the reason he did that is because he didn't want Marshall. The reason he did that is because he didn't want Marshall to have sex with anybody else that wasn't Lily. He even went to San Francisco and got her and told her how much she needed to go back with Marshall. So
that cock blocking was a friendship.
He was cock blocking for his own good. He was cock blocking Marshall because he didn't want Marshall to have anybody else other than Lily.
That's a fucking why not? Why does he get to make a decision where Marshall slips his dick in? I don't understand. Why is that an honorable fucking thing for him to do for somebody? If somebody was like, Missy, I'm going to go behind your back and I'm going to make sure that you never fucking get laid until I decide who the fuck it is that's supposed to come back. And what the fuck is that? That's not a friend. That's not a move that I want in my life.
Well, agree to disagree on that one, because I think that was sweet. I think the fact that he showed, and he made Lily promise that to never tell the guys that it was him. He didn't want recognition. He wanted to be like, you guys belong together, and this is all his doing of trying to get them back together. There's many reasons why Barney Stinson is a bad friend. He made my dishonorable mention list. There's plenty of reasons. The reasons you're giving, I'm not exactly kosher with. I'm not seeing eye to eye with, but I do agree that he is a bad friend. Giving the example of being a bad friend to a group of people you yourself said are all bad friends is not really the strongest case that you can make.
That's not.
If you want to talk about being a bad friend, then be a bad friend to somebody who's a good friend, right? So like examples of Marshall and stuff like that. But being a bad friend to Lily or being a bad friend to
but nobody in this cast holds their own against the shit that this guy pulls on everybody else.
Lily's pretty shitty, I gotta say.
Lily
is pretty shitty. I'm not gonna argue against that. She's manipulative as fuck for sure.
She literally does
the whole thing of her like purposely going for years and breaking up Ted's relationship.
Yes, and that is awful. But then what else can you say about that?
Sucks, but
what else can you say about that besides that? What does she do to Barney that's fucking awful? What does she do to Marshall?
She leaves
Exactly.
Marshall.
She leaves Marshall almost twice. She left
Okay.
in the beginning to San Francisco, and then
That's
she
not
almost
an exactly a character flaw. It's a breakdown in a relationship, which is a different fucking mountain.
How is
I'm
that not
talking.
a character flaw? Like she
It's
was
not a
bad to
character.
him. She was mean to him. She
She
left him when he needed her the most.
Can I
Twice.
please? She didn't leave him when he needed her the most. She asked for space so she can go to San Francisco. And Marshall's the one that goes, if you fucking leave, don't come back. So he's the one that rolled out his dick. And she said, okay, well, bye. That's, I'm
Marshall's
sorry.
the
If
most
you give me an ultimatum like that, you're daring somebody to fucking make a move, and you're trying to manipulate them. That's not a fair assessment of that.
All right.
I'm just letting you know what I think, and I'm not defending the fact that she's not shitty. Everybody in their own right does, except for Marshall, Lily, Ted, and Barney, and Robin,
also,
like on a lower grade. But
I don't think Robin is the.
No, I'm
worst
saying
person
like
at
I
all.
think I would put Robin, well, with the exception of her, the whole fucking Barney thing. With that exception, I would
she's
put her.
high in other ways.
Yeah, I would put her lower down on that
I would love
mountain.
to do How I Met Your Mother on seasons. Because I'm trying very hard to downplay, because me and Missy have gone on and on our private conversations about How I Met Your Mother, and I find it enjoyable how much we disagree
Yeah,
on every
I mean,
aspect of that show, and I'm
yeah,
fine.
for sure. Well, there's only one time that, like, out the gate, I remember when you finished binging it a few years ago, that I was like, binge the whole thing, and then I'm gonna tell you my gripe. Out the gate, you like, what my whole thing with season 9, I think the first couple times that we went at it, you're like, no. And then I think like it was like a few times after that, you're like, you know what? I see your point. And I was like, what the fuck? But that's the only moment that either one of us is budged.
Do you remember the point?
What point?
Do you remember the point that I agreed with you on?
Yeah, that why spend a whole season on Barney and Robin if they're just gonna break up, but that you
in one episode
right, and that whole last season is problematic as fuck, but that's its own discussion. But yeah, I for sure I think he's disgusting.
I think Barney's a disgusting human being.
Yes.
Period. Like womanizer, the whole thing. It's very problematic nowadays. It's very not PC, and I think he's a disgusting human being. As far as being a bad friend, I'm not saying he's a good friend. Definitely don't.
But he's the worst.
I don't think he's the worst. I don't think, and I think the examples you're giving specifically are not really great examples of showing how bad. I got other examples in my head.
To be fair, you have
not being the worst friend. So
you've recently you've binged it much more recently than I did. I watched it like as it came out. Yeah, so it's that
Missy does this thing to the viewer and to the listener. Missy does this thing where she rewatches old episodes, but only the ones that she likes, that she knows she likes. Where I will binge watch the entire thing over and over and over again. Missy's like, this episode was great. Let's go back to season whatever. And then she'll just stop at that one episode. And she's been over my house where she's like, let's go watch that episode. And she'll put like season 5 episode, whatever. And then that episode ends, and I'm like, all right, let's keep watching. Like, I'm literally like, let's keep watching.
Like, no.
She's like, no.
Let's go back to 2. Like, yeah, I don't really like to dip past 5. That's where, well, that's
5 is the drop off for me.
Yeah, that's but that's just my personal, that's my brain.
That's my brain.
Anyways, that's my long-winded number 1 choice.
All right.
Way more justifiable than Captain America. Oh, go on.
Well, I mean, Barney didn't kill anybody or hide the fight that somebody else.
I said, go on. That you know of. That motherfucker was sketchy as fuck.
That's so true. And he brought down a whole fucking organization that was built on that he brought down the GMB. He brought them down. He was an FBI informant. So
snitches end up in ditches.
Okay. Stephanie, what do you got for your number 1?
So my number 1 is Eric Cartman. Terrible.
A literal child. A literal child. We're like, oh, teenagers. It feels kind of weird putting on this list, and she's like, okay, double down, bitch.
She's like, hold here.
9-year-old.
A 9-year-old.
But he's been 9 for like 27 years, right?
In 29 seasons of whatever, or however the fuck long it's been on. Eric Cartman is racist. He is homophobic. He is borderline a murderer. He's terrible to his mother. He's just
he's a Republican. No,
he is god awful. But you love to hate him because he's the funniest part of the show, right?
Second funniest, Randy Marsh.
Randy Marsh, man. Anybody who rides their mutated testicles like fucking bouncing balls, you got it.
I mean, one of my favorite Cartman episodes is the one where he buys the amusement park, so he's the only one that can use it. Yeah. But then he realizes that he has to have like people work because their brides will break down, and in order to pay those people, he has to charge people. So it's like when his mom wants to have a 400-month or whatever abortion and she sleeps with Clinton to do it. I mean, Eric Cartman is just awful. He's a lot of the reasons why Kenny ends up dying in the first couple of seasons.
He gave AIDS to one of these other kids? Which one did he give AIDS to?
I can't remember.
He squeezed the blood in his mouth. Yeah,
You're right. That's right. I don't remember who it was. Did anybody see the election special recently? For the vaccination special?
Oh, the vaccinations. Yeah.
No. So good. Yeah. Oh man, so good.
It's on HBO Max.
Yes, it is. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I'm positive. HIV positive.
Is that from that special?
No,
that's an old episode.
I mean,
episode.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my number one.
And also, I don't know if we have to call him borderline a murderer. He did arrange that murder. I think we could just straight up call him the person who murdered Scott.
You're correct. And look, I mean, sociopaths and psychopaths start somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean. And it's one level to arrange somebody being murdered, but then to feed them to their own child
with their pubes.
What the fuck?
With pubes sprinkled on top.
He arranged a situation to where Scott Tenorman's parents would be killed. He then chopped them up and fed them to Scott Tenorman.
And this is comedy?
I just made you eat your parents.
This sounds like a Dateline episode.
It is fantastic.
I mean, classic Cartman episode. Classic Cartman episode is the Maury Povich episode. I quote that all the
Slash episode is pretty funny too.
The Slash episode is hilarious. Yeah, the Maury Povich episode, the whatever, I do what I want.
I do what I want.
That's
whatever, I do what I want.
Yeah.
I could tell you, as somebody who often gets classified as a contrarian, I think I can make an argument for anybody. Like, no, I don't know if they're that bad. There's no argument I can make for her.
No,
like, you can't.
It's not redeemable.
Boys,
and if you
boys will be boys, which is still not true because all his other friends are not fucking
they're not fucking psychopaths.
And what's amazing about how evil and how terrible Cartman is? They range from having someone's parents murdered and feeding them to that time he ate all the skin off the KFC and then just left nobody with any skin on the bucket of chicken. And it's like, I get that in the real world, those two things are comparable, but in this moment, they both seem equally egregious.
Yeah, it's, psychopaths there's always an origin story. And Eric Cartman really does have the makings of a supervillain.
You know that you've got a solid pick when Neri goes, that absolutely for sure.
I mean, I did the same thing with Bella Swan. I was like, no, we're not like no. There's no disagreement.
But wait, but did you watch all the movies, or you've just?
I watched like 1 through 4. I think it was. How many?
Oh, that's enough.
How many?
I mean, God bless you.
There's 5.
There's 5.
Yeah, I watched until Dakota Fanning got there, and I thought Dakota Fanning was gonna save the franchise, and she didn't.
No,
she didn't. She didn't. When you get an actor of that caliber, and you fucking bring her down to the mud with you.
I mean, Bryce Dallas Howard couldn't save that franchise. Michael Sheen couldn't save that franchise.
Look, not for nothing. she's a fine actress. Bryce Dallas Howard. She's a fine
Do
actress.
not disparage the good name of Bryce Dallas Howard.
I'm
in this
sorry.
film,
She is no Dakota Fanning, my friend. She is no Dakota Fanning. That's other level
That's
shit.
a good. That's a
Fanning,
compliment.
yeah, Dakota Fanning is other level.
No,
amazing
like
actress.
not the way you think. The
Yeah.
other way.
I think Dakota Fanning is a phenomenal actress. I mean, she's.
I'm not saying she's not. I'm just saying.
I think Dakota Fanning. I think Dice Morales. I think she's fine. She's a good actress. She's good.
My whole point is that this movie started off, or
Anna
this
Kendrick.
franchise.
Anna Kendrick got brought down with this fucking franchise.
Well,
Nobody's-
this
Anna
was
Kendrick
her.
wasn't anybody before.
Yeah,
this,
this was her break. This was her.
Yeah,
but
that's what I was gonna
still,
say. That
she's still a better actress than this movie. Like,
sure,
yeah.
but
Like she's still a better actress than Kirsten Stewart.
Kristen Stewart, absolutely.
Oh, I mean, a
better
fucking
actress
dead.
A sack of potatoes is a better actress
Yeah,
than
the
than
dead
Kristen
cat
Stewart.
outside is better than fucking.
My point is that there were a lot of
You and Charlie's Angels though.
because
I
this
need my
was,
chocolate.
for all intents and purposes, like a teenage movie. There weren't a lot of people, like they tried to go for A-listers in the initial casting and it never happened. Bryce Dallas Howard being one of them that they went after for in the very beginning. And later, as they saw that it was, even though it was terrible, a giant fucking moneymaker because it made like $1 bazillion. Then they started bringing in the A-listers, and not even the A-listers could save it.
In the words of Oprah, it was a phenomenon. She can fucking say that word wrong.
All right, so Eric Cartman, number one. Is
Yeah.
great pick.
Yeah, check it out.
So my number one, I have a feeling that the only one, and this is not a gender thing, I just, from knowing you guys, I think the Bono might be the only one that knows who I'm talking about. My number one is Nikki Santoro from Casino. He is
God
playing,
damn, that's a good pick. Like, I'm really mad at myself right now for not thinking of that.
he is Joe Pesci. He's played by Joe Pesci. I'm sorry. He is Robert De Niro's best friend, and he is such a fucking dirt. Like he is in the role.
Another psychopath pick.
Yeah, well, first of all, he's a legitimate psychopath, but that's not why he's on this list. He's not on this
Tell
list.
me more.
That's what I was gonna say. He's not on this list for being a psychopath. He's not on this list for being a gangster in a movie that's full of
Pieces of shit.
That's called Casino.
Yeah, reprehensible people. Like in a movie full of reprehensible people he's the worst in this fucking movie. And again, not because of the murdering, not because of the fucking robbing and stealing. He's not because of that. He's such a bad fucking friend. He's supposed to be a fucking friend to this guy. He's supposed to be looking after Ace, which is played by Robert De Niro. He turns out fucking going behind his back and doing shit that he's not supposed to do that gets him in trouble with their bosses, such as stealing and beating people up and fucking whatever the fuck. But that's still, as awful as that is, because he's getting him in trouble with the bosses, that's not the reason why. This guy fucks his best friend's wife, like, and then plots with her against him. And the only reason he's plotting with her against him is so that he can fuck her, because she's played by Sharon Stone. So yeah,
Which
boys will be boys, am I right?
Because what kind of like golden horse penis does that character have to be able to nail?
Hey,
Sharon Stone?
he has a
That's
good
just not something
personality.
Fuck you. That's just not something that would ever fucking happen.
What do you mean? Something who's not eligible? Who's not?
Joe
She's saying, in what world could Joe Pesci ever sling it to Sharon Stone?
In the world that
in
the world that Sharon Stone is a drug addict and is at the end of her rope and a money hungry fucking gold digger, and knows that her husband, played by Robert De Niro, is no longer giving her the fucking diamonds and the money because he knows that she's a fucking drug addict, and so therefore she goes to his best friend, played by Robert De Niro, by Joe Pesci, because she knows that if I fuck him, he might kill my husband and then I'll get the inheritance. So that's the world. It's not a romantic world. It's not a let me off my feet world.
It's not a Nicholas Sparks movie.
No.
Yeah, it is. There's no horses on the beach in this fucking movie. This is driven by pure greed.
Oh, I understand.
Man, that is such a good
and
pick.
fuckery.
I'm really upset for not thinking of that one. God, that is such.
You
a
know,
good pick.
I've only seen. You haven't spoiled anything. Not that it matters. But I've only seen
It's like
pieces
a
of.
40-year-old movie, babe.
It's not actually. It came out in the 90s.
Yeah,
Oh, well.
like,
Hey, if I'm almost 40, Casino is almost 40.
You're born in the 80s, so whatever. Anyway, math, Stephanie, math.
That's a good question.
I don't even know what the fuck I was saying.
Casino's 95?
95, yeah.
I've only seen bits and pieces of this movie,
Yeah,
but
same.
everything you just talked about, I've seen. So, but yeah,
I mean, it's a phenomenal movie. I saw it. I
Oh,
saw it
so
again
fucking
in
good.
It's a
the
great
last
movie.
it's
I
really
was-
hard for me to get into gangster movies, and I know that's its own thing, but I know it's a good genre. I can't get into it. But
They just tend to be really long.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're
Most of
not
these, I mean,
And
a
it's
lot
like
of them.
I mean, I've seen
18
the-
actors.
I've
and
seen the
very dialogue driven.
I've seen the Godfather trilogy, just in my defense. But
a lot of them happen to be based on true events, so
Mhm.
it's kind of like they have to put a lot of things in there. You're right, it's a lot of talking, it's a lot of character driven,
based on push
Another book by
by
Sapphire.
Sapphire.
yeah, like if you're not a fan
Novelization.
of what's that dude, Missy, what's that guy's name, the director, the
Scorsese?
writer, Aaron Sorkin. If you're not a fan of Aaron
Oh.
Sorkin, you would, yeah, it's a lot of dialogue, so you shouldn't be watching.
You know, I think that I'm gonna be chill because I really have to go to the bathroom. But that was a real asshole thing to say to me, just so you know. And fuck you for that.
Also,
Fuck you
on
for
Missy's
that.
honorable mention, Nary Science.
Yes, but low. You know what I mean? Like 5 or 6, but you're on there.
As long as I'm on there, it's fine.
Mary, remember when you called him Alan Sorkin?
What?
Me? I
Yeah.
call him-
Yeah, I forgot what episode we were doing, but you kept saying Alan Sorkin, Alan Sorkin,
He
Alan
gets
Sorkin.
so mad because every
And
time
I was like, "Do you mean Aaron?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's Alan's brother."
That's right. That's
like
right.
like 2 months ago, I'm like, well, I don't know what the fuck we were talking about. That I was like, yeah,
Molly.
because huh?
You brought up Molly's Game.
No, we
Lot
were
of
we were. I was comparing directors. Oh, you were talking about WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I was like, you can't compare Michael Bay movie with an Aaron Sorkin movie. And there he goes, oh, you and fucking Aaron Sorkin.
But it's like every time we talk about movies, he brings up Aaron Sorkin. I'm like, oh,
He's a
right,
great
no,
fucking-
I
He's a great writer.
nobody's debating that, but
But
just fucking
he's
pick
sick of
another
hearing
one.
it.
Pick another one. I was like,
Which you know what? I understand his frustration, but just the sheer disgust that came from the depth. He's like, you and fucking Aaron Sorkin.
yeah. I at one point I was like, are you guys fucking? Like, is there something happening that it's on a personal level here? Like, you keep bringing him
No,
up. Like,
but
there
if
are
you
plenty of directors that I love Scorsese, but I don't bring him up every
Scorsese's
fucking
a-
time.
Overrated. Super overrated.
Oh,
You haven't seen
Whoa.
Casino she hasn't seen Casino or Goodfellas. How would
Oh,
you even
solely,
say that?
I'm gonna preface that statement with the fact that I'm basing it all on my experience of trying to watch Irish.
Yeah, the
I'm
Irish
trying to watch what?
The
Irish
Irishman is not
Trying to
a
watch
my
it.
God.
The Irishman
Also,
is-
he said a lot of
No,
he
no one
said
to
a lot of
start with.
douchebaggy fucking things.
You're not even
but-
basing it on that one with the train?
No, I'm basing it on the Irish.
No,
I
no,
know
he
I'm
is-
wrong. I'm
He
not.
does do douchebag things. I would start off with like The Departed or something a little bit more
No,
palatable.
I know I'm wrong. I'm not debating that. I'm
The
just saying
Irishman
that
was not the one to start with. ma'am.
yeah, that's what I'm saying is that what I said is based on me trying to watch The Irishman for the past 3 fucking years, and I can't make it past. I can't make it to the end for the life of me.
Go
I
watch
can't
that
even
one he
blame
made
you.
for his kids with Sacha Baron Cohen.
Meh. He said a lot of douchebaggy things, but that's whatever.
I don't even think they're douchebaggy. I think they're fucking old man shit.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I really do think it's just old man shit.
It's
Like
just
that stuff you just talk up
and
to like
film should be seen in projectors.
The
Like, all right.
cinema,
yeah,
down.
exactly.
like fuck
calm
off.
down.
Fuck you. I don't need to watch.
All right, man.
Okay, boomer.
Our number one.
He's the greatest generation. I don't think he's a boomer.
Is he greatest
Yeah,
generation? He might be.
Probably.
It's 1,000 years. Are you
He's
kidding
old
me?
as shit.
Fucking caveman. Like,
Jurassic Park is based on Bush novel by Martin
um.
I have to pee so bad. I have to stop laughing.
All right. So give me a second here. Our number ones are Nancy Downs from The Craft, Barney from How I Met Your Mother, Eric Cartman from South Park, and Nikki Santoro from Casino. We only had one repeat, and that was Missy and I's pick of Julianne Potter from My Best Friend's Wedding.
Oh,
She's the one that makes the mountain. This would be. Can you imagine? Out of all the mountains that we've done, can you imagine somebody actually physically making a mountain of this? Like, this is the worst friends in fucking TV.
Can I just say something? I just Googled. I wanted to see what generation Martin Scorsese is from.
Generation one. Generation one.
He's from
The original.
He's before Christ. That's the generation.
It's called the Silent Generation, and honestly, I wish.
Yeah, it is the silent generation. The
78.
greatest generation is the one before them, and they were the ones that
On the heels of the greatest generation came the Silent Generation, a group
Yeah,
born between 1925 to 1942,
Yeah,
and he was
they
born.
were the
in
ones that were born during the Depression. That's why
he
they're
was
called the
born,
silent
and
generation.
you know what? It's evident because he's sad. He's still sad.
He's still so sad.
All right. So Julianne Potter's the only one. What other picks do you think should be going on there? I'm gonna.
I mean, I'm down with like going for the number one.
I was gonna say, in our number ones, there are 3 actual murderers.
Yeah. Okay. White flag.
So if we do
your friend,
Potter,
makes you a bad friend. You kill your friend, that makes you a bad friend. None of a sudden.
Unless you've been brainwashed and you're by Hydra, I don't accept.
I don't even accept that.
I know you don't. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up with that.
So we have for honorable mention. I'm sorry, for our final mountain, we have Julianne Potter from My Best Friend's Wedding, Nancy Downs from The Craft, Eric Cartman from South Park, and Nikki Santoro from Casino.
Yeah.
Fair.
All right.
That's fair.
Good job, team.
Yeah. All right. So that's our list. Make sure you guys check us out on. If you're listening to the audio version, check us out. You can check the video out on YouTube or our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com or youtube.com/MtGeekmore if you feel like donating. Again, the Cash App is the $sign at MtGeekmore. Make sure to watch us live. We're going to try to do this every Tuesday. I know we've been missing a lot recently.
But summer break's coming, baby.
We're going to try to get our shit together. It's been tough to get. Scheduling has been difficult. But we're going to try to do this every Tuesday. So watch us live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. So thank you guys for checking us out. Check out Stephanie's. Thank you for stopping by, Stephanie. Check out her events planning. She's phenomenal at events planning. Not just saying that because she's on here, because as you guys have heard on the show, I have no problems in making fun of her, but she's an exceptional event coordinator. Check her out at events_by_the_U on Instagram, and it's MiamiEventsByYou.com. So make sure you check that out. Missy's writing is at MissyWrites.com, and her handle on social media is at Missy the Writer. And if you want to get a hold of the Bona, he's private on everything. So, so
if you want to get a hold of him, reach out to Neri.
Yeah, reach out to me or Missy, and then we'll try to see if we could talk him into.
I'm probably about to fix that. That was a temporary thing. We're going to go public again in a minute.
Sure, Jan.
All right. So, and then my comedy's at NeriScience.com. My social media is all over is at NeriScience. Or you could go to whatwashisname.com. Thank you guys very much for checking us out, and that's how lists are made.